Hello, everybody. So I know last week I said we were going to do a rewatch of DK or Walter Murphy's testimony with Detective Dennis possibly being called back to the stand. Because everybody's talking about plea deals and the pressure of testifying under a plea deal, we're actually going to rewind back to about day 11, I think is when Trontavious Stephens got on the stand. We're going to see how he testified both on direct and under cross-examination. And we're going to start off by looking at his original plea hearing and plea agreement that he signed off on all the way back in 2022. So it's going to be a good time. Just as some housekeeping, in the chat right now, and I also added it to the video description, if you want to read a transcript of the hearing we're going to watch, or go right to the bottom, you'll see the full plea agreement that Trontavious Stephens, aka Slug, aka Tick, signed off on. So that's what I'm dropping in the chat right now. It's also in the description. And then one of our other upcoming witnesses in, I don't know, maybe this week, depending on if the state actually keeps their order of witnesses together, is Munktunk, Antonio Sledge. And AV to the 7th power, I don't see it scheduled, so I don't know exactly when she's going to do it, but she has a video in production where she's going to go through the backstory of Antonio Sledge, what his charges are, what his story is, and how he's fitting into the rest of how this trial will play out. So I don't have a link to her stream because she hasn't scheduled it, but this is her channel link here. And if you're watching on replay, you can also just type AV7 on YouTube. She's actually coming up. It's not just giving Avenged Sevenfold results anymore. She is trending as a search term as a result on YouTube now. So that's awesome. So there's that for you if you want to check those things out. And right here on the screen, we're going all the way back to December 29th, 2022. Got my banner up so we won't be confused thinking that this is live. And we're going to hear, if you guys have never watched a plea hearing, you're going to get to see how it works. You're going to hear some of the things that someone like Trontavious Stephens has to agree to get a plea like this. And then we'll have a better context while we rewatch his testimony. And look at that, DWC in the house. So good to see you. Thanks for gifting some memberships. And you know, this is perfect. I can grab that link right here. And what I love about Dear Woke Christian is I can type his name, I can type Dear into my search bar, and his channel comes right up. So it's super, super easy. And that is DWC's link right there. Tons of great information, not just on the YSL trial, but also all things Fulton County shenanigans. So if you want more funny content, you want to see what's going on with some Georgia Senate hearings, that is the place to go. And then look at all you early birds. Shout out to everyone here spending their Sunday looking at these YSL trial rewinds. Good to see you, Biff. Yes, you sensed my presence. And then, yeah, no lie, day 11. Day 11 of the YSL trial. And then he was really, well, maybe not day 11. I think it was like day 13. But there was a day like before he testified where at the end of the day, I'll play it when we get to it, but before Trontavious Stephens took the stand, I think on day 13, on day 11 or 12, the last day that they actually had court before he took the stand, Love did one of those things at the end of the day after Judge Glanville called recess and was like, Your Honor, can I approach to talk about? And then the sound cut her off. So it's one of those things like, was this another situation where you know you're having this witness that's going to testify that might be difficult and you need a meeting with Judge Glanville before you do that? Because towards the end of his testimony, they had to bring his attorney in and get clear on some attorney-client privilege and issues of him possibly invoking. So technically he started on day 13, but I got blurred because one of those days Love did that thing she seems to do a lot. So, but let's get into it again. If you just joined right now, we are going back to December 29th of 2022 to watch the plea hearing and learn more about the agreement Trontavious Stephens, aka Slug, aka Tick, signed off on. And thank you so much, Marlena Mack, for becoming a member. So let's go. Let's make this big.
Versus Trontavious Stephens in indictment 22 SC 183572. Good evening, Ms. Gladden, and good evening, Mr. Stephens.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Good evening.
And you guys
And
vote
good
on
evening,
the
Ms. Love, and
speed.
good evening, Ms. Hilton. All right. Mr. Stephens, can I get you to raise your right hand the best you're able, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the evidence you shall give in the matter now in hearing should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, so affirm?
I do.
All right, you need to speak up, sir.
I do.
Okay, all right. Put your hand down. All right, Mr. Stephens, over the next several minutes, I'm sure Ms. Gladden has probably told you, we're going to go through what's called a providency inquiry. Half of it is what we call your Boykin rights. That means those are constitutional rights that every criminal accused enjoys. Meaning, because in our system of jurisprudence, we don't force people to plead guilty. So courts have to make sure you understand your rights and you give those up freely and voluntarily before I can sentence you, okay? So that's the first part. The second part of the inquiry, the state has to lay out a factual basis as to what they would have been able to prove at trial beyond a reasonable doubt. So assuming that they can, those two things, they pass, then I can determine that your plea is provident and accept your negotiated plea, okay? Yeah, you gotta answer
Yes, sir.
yes or no for the record. Okay, all right. So, Ms. Love, is it gonna be you, Ms. Love?
It's going to be Ms.
Okay.
Hilton.
Ms. Hilton is gonna ask you a series of questions that's designed to get at the two areas we talked about. When she's done, your attorney, Ms. Gladden, will offer me some things on your behalf, and then you and I will have a short conversation, and I should be able to accept your plea, okay?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, madam, go right ahead.
Thank you. May I take off my mask?
You can, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Stephens, if you could please state your true and correct legal name.
Trontavious Stephens.
And are you the same person referred to as Trontavious Stephens, also known as Tick and also known as Slug, on indictment 22 SC 183572?
Yes.
Are you at this time taking or under the influence of any alcohol, drugs, or medicine?
No.
How old are you?
29.
And how far have you gone in school?
Hold on, I already got to pause because, you know, that's something you hear when you watch trials, you hear it in depositions. You're supposed to ask if somebody is currently under the influence when they might make a critical decision or are giving testimony because you want it to be reliable. You don't want it to be coming from an altered state of mind. And every time I hear that in this trial, all I can think of is Adrian Bean on the stand, where he says, to me, it sounds like he says, "I'm so high right now." And he just kept testifying. So every time I hear that, it's like a new joke in the back of my mind for this trial.
I got a GED.
Okay. Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are charged in this indictment with count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have the right to plead either guilty or not guilty to these charges?
Yes.
And if you plead not guilty or remain silent, you may receive a jury trial.
Yes.
Have you had enough time to speak with your lawyer, Attorney Gladden, about all the facts and circumstances known to you regarding the charge in this indictment?
Yes.
Have you also been able to speak with her about any potential defenses?
Yes.
Do you need any more time to discuss this matter with your attorney?
No.
Are you satisfied with her counsel and representation?
Yes.
Do you waive formal reading of the indictment?
Excuse me?
So wait.
Yes. I asked if you and your attorney waive formal reading of the indictment.
That means I don't want to read the charge.
If not, I gotta read the indictment.
Oh.
So wait.
Okay? All right.
Do you waive any and all defects, if any, with respect to the indictment?
Yes.
Mr. Stephens, have you been arrested on these charges?
You've been arrested on these charges.
Yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, the state is unaware of any outstanding warrants related to these charges. Ms. Gladden, are you aware of any outstanding warrants as it relates to these charges?
I'm not.
Okay. Has your attorney advised you of the minimum and maximum sentence for the charge in which you are pleading to?
Yes.
Do you understand that as to count 1, conspiracy to violate the Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, that it carries a minimum of 5 years and a maximum of 20 years in custody?
Yes.
Do you understand this is a negotiated plea of guilty, which means that the state will recommend to the court a sentence that I will read, but the court does not have to accept this recommendation, and that the court can sentence you to the maximum on each charge?
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that this plea, the state's offer on this plea is, as to count 1, 10 years to serve 2 years, commute to time served with a balance of 8 years on probation? Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand there are certain special conditions as it relates to this negotiation?
Yes.
For 1, you shall abide in full by each and all of the terms of this negotiated agreement, and your failure to abide by any of the terms of the agreement shall constitute a violation of this agreement. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that you shall testify truthfully about all matters relating to this case upon which you are questioned at any trial or judicial proceeding stemming from the facts alleged in this indictment?
Yes.
Do you understand that in accordance with testifying truthfully about all matters related to this case, you acknowledge that each and all the statements contained within the defendant's factual acknowledgments portion of this agreement are true, and that you will testify truthfully about those statements and any matters related to this case when asked to do so?
Yes.
Do you understand as a special condition, you shall possess no guns unless your right to do so is restored?
Yes.
That you should also submit to random drug screens by the Department of Community Supervision and any agency designated by this court?
Yes.
That you shall commit no criminal acts?
Yes.
And that you will relinquish any Fifth Amendment right related to any statement contained within the defendant's factual acknowledgments contained within this plea agreement, and you will make no attempt at trial to assert a Fifth Amendment privilege when questioned on these matters. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that some of the factual acknowledgments that you acknowledge is one, that Young Slime Life, aka YSL, is an organization made up of 3 or more members or associates who share common identifiers that include but are not limited to colors, hand signals, and terminology, who have committed crimes intended to increase the notoriety, street credibility, and reputation of YSL. Is that one of your acknowledgments?
Yes.
Do you also acknowledge that you were one of the founding members of Young Slime Life?
Yes.
Do you also acknowledge that you committed an aggravated assault as alleged in count 1 of this indictment by brandishing a gun at an undercover police officer that was surveilling a vehicle that was hijacked from a woman?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge that in October of 2014, you were arrested with a red bandana and you were observed with a YSL tattoo and a Cleveland Avenue Rock Crew tattoo, amongst other tattoos?
Yes.
Do you also acknowledge in that same incident, when you were asked by law enforcement about your Rock Crew and your YSL tattoos, that you truthfully advised law enforcement that you were a member of a gang called Rock Crew, but that group is no longer going by that name and now goes by YSL, which originally stood for Young Slime Life?
Yes.
Did you also in that same conversation advise law enforcement that YSL originally stood for Young Slime Life, but the group began calling itself Young Successful Lifestyle after Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, signed a record deal?
Yes.
Do you also acknowledge that the statements made to police about Rock Crew and YSL, as reflected in sections 3 and 4 above, which I just mentioned, are true and accurate?
Yes.
You acknowledge that you've been accused of and arrested for robbing women?
Yes.
You acknowledge that you are the same person referred to as Tick in the song by Young Thug entitled You, in the verse, She Getting Robbed by Tick?
Yes.
You also acknowledge that on February 4th, 2021, you participated in a group chat with fellow YSL founder Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, and YSL associates Wooney Lee, aka Slime Life Shorty, wherein Jeffrey Williams stated, "YSL rule the world, kid. Y'all just start bringing me the money. Man, y'all stop playing with me." Do you acknowledge that?
Yes.
Do you acknowledge that on May 13, 2021, you participated in another group chat with fellow YSL founder Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, and YSL associates Martinez Arnold, Miles Farley, Quantavious Greer, Antonio Sumlin, Wooney Lee, wherein Jeffrey Williams asked, "Y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet?" Then states, "Y'all getting soft."
Yes.
Do you acknowledge that the gas station at 151 Cleveland Avenue is a location where YSL associates sell drugs?
Yes.
That also the gas station at 221 Cleveland Avenue is a location where YSL associates sell drugs?
Yes.
And also, do you acknowledge that you cannot truthfully assert that anyone charged in this indictment is not guilty of the crimes as alleged in this indictment, and you will not make any attempt at trial, prior to trial, or after trial to exonerate or exculpate anyone charged in this indictment of the crimes alleged in this indictment, nor will you claim that anyone on this indictment is not guilty of the crimes as charged in this indictment?
Yes.
Do you also acknowledge that if you violate the plea agreement, the district attorney can and will use a statement during any judicial proceeding?
Yes.
You also understand and acknowledge that if you violate any portion of this plea agreement before, during, or after the initial trial of this case, you are subject to having the entirety of your sentence revoked.
Yes.
And you could be sentenced to prison.
Yes.
Do you also understand if you violate any terms of this plea agreement, it will result in your sentence being revoked, and the district attorney will recommend that you serve up to the maximum sentence allowed by law in the Georgia Department of Corrections?
Yes.
Do you also understand fully that if prior to the conclusion of the initial trial of this case, that you fail or refuse to testify to any fact that you now acknowledge in this plea agreement, such failure or refusal constitutes a violation of this plea agreement, and you'll be subject to being sentenced to serve the remainder of your sentence confined within the Georgia Department of Corrections?
Yes.
Do you also acknowledge that no promises, agreements, or conditions have been made other than those set forth in this document, and none will be entered into unless memorialized in writing and signed by all parties?
Yes.
And did you, along with your attorney, sign this document and dated today's date, December 29, 2022?
Yes.
And that's your signature here?
Yes.
Do you understand that this plea may be used to enhance sentencing on other convictions in this jurisdiction as well as in other jurisdictions, including the federal courts?
Yes.
Do you understand if you are currently on probation or parole, your probation or parole may be revoked based on your entering a guilty plea today?
Oh my God, camera guy.
By law, they have to say that you're probation.
Why that ain't in the paper though?
That's a Boykin rights. That's just.
I ain't read that. Can you repeat that?
Sure. I'm letting you know your rights. That's not something that's going to, I can't tell you that's something that's not going to happen. That's not something that we're asking for the court to do. But that's something that's a right that I have to read to you.
All right.
All right?
The Constitution rights. Yes. Sorry.
So I'm reading your rights now. I'm going back to reading your rights that you're giving up by entering into a plea. Do you understand that if you are currently on probation or parole, your probation or parole may be revoked based on your entering a guilty plea today?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you are placed on probation of any kind, you cannot violate any criminal laws of any governmental unit or any special conditions of probation without being subject to revocation for the balance of the sentence?
Yes.
Do you understand that you are not allowed to possess or use a firearm while on probation?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, a guilty plea conviction will affect your immigration status and will result in deportation?
Yes.
Do you understand that there may be other adverse or unfavorable consequences as a result of this guilty plea conviction, just as there would be from a conviction following a trial?
Yes.
For example, your guilty plea may affect your right to vote, your right to hold public office, your right to serve on a jury, your right to obtain a passport, your right to receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or the ability to obtain employment. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty to a felony, if you use, receive, possess, or transport a firearm, or use a firearm in a crime, you will be guilty of a felony which may carry a sentence of 1 to 15 years?
Yes.
Do you understand that you waive any and all defenses, including any mental health defenses, by entering a plea of guilty?
Yes.
Do you understand if you went to trial, that you had the right to a trial by jury, the right to see, hear, and confront witnesses called to testify against you, and the right to testify or to remain silent and not incriminate yourself?
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty, you are giving up the following rights? And after each right, I'm going to ask you to say yes or no if you understand, okay? You understand that you're giving up the right to a trial by jury,
Yes.
the right to remain silent and not incriminate yourself,
Yes.
the right to confront witnesses against you,
Yes.
the right to assistance of counsel hired by you or to court-appointed counsel if you cannot afford an attorney at a trial of your case,
Yes.
the right to the presumption of innocence,
Yes.
the right to testify on your own behalf and to present other evidence,
Yes.
the right to subpoena witnesses and compel the production of evidence,
Yes.
the right to have the charges against you proved beyond a reasonable doubt,
Yes.
the right to appeal if convicted of these charges after a trial.
Yes.
Has anyone forced, threatened, or promised you anything to get you to enter a guilty plea?
No.
Is it your decision to waive these rights and enter a guilty plea because you're in fact guilty?
Yes.
With respect to indictment 22 SC 183-572, where you're charged with one count of conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organization Act, how do you plead?
Guilty.
Is this guilty plea freely and voluntarily given with a full knowledge of the charges against you?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have only a limited right to appeal this guilty plea conviction?
Yes.
Do you understand that you have 4 years from today's date for the felony charge to file a habeas corpus petition challenging the voluntariness of this plea?
Yes.
And Your Honor, if this case were to go to trial, the state would expect to prove that the organization YSL is an enterprise, that this defendant is a part of that enterprise along with his other co-defendants, and together on or between the 24th day of January 2013 and the 8th day of May 2022, they did unlawfully conspire to acquire, maintain, directly and indirectly, an interest in and control of United States currency and other personal property through a pattern of racketeering activity, and also while associated with an enterprise, did unlawfully conspire to conduct and participate in, directly and indirectly, such enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. That the associates of the enterprise Young Slime Life, also known as YSL, that they did conspire to associate together with others for the common purpose of illegally obtaining money and property through a pattern of racketeering activity and conducting and participating in the enterprise through a pattern of racketeering activity. And in furtherance of the conspiracy, the defendants engaged in certain activities which are enumerated. Some of those activities include preserving, protecting, and enhancing the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise through acts of racketeering activity, including murder, assault, and threats of violence. Preserving, protecting, and enhancing the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise by the posting of messages, images, videos, and songs demonstrating an allegiance to the enterprise and a willingness to engage in violence on its behalf. That maintain armed individuals ready and willing to preserve, protect, enhance the reputation, power, and territory of the enterprise through the use of violence. and obtaining money, weapons, and other property through acts of racketeering activity, including robbery, theft, and the unlawful sale and distribution of drugs. The state will also prove that YSL is a criminal street gang that started in the late 2012 in the Cleveland Avenue area of Atlanta, Georgia. That some of the founders were Jeffrey Williams, also known as Young Thug, also known as Slime, Walter Murphy, also known as DK, and this defendant, Trontavious Stephens, also known as Tick, and also known as Slug. That YSL uses a variety of identifiers, including colors, clothing, tattoos, and hand signs, as well as verbal and written identifiers. And we would show that this defendant had a tacit understanding of the enterprise and furthered the enterprise's goals with several acts. Some of those acts are from January 2013. This defendant, in which he pled guilty, was accused of aggravated assault, in which on that day, an officer with the APD Police Department was working in an undercover capacity. That officer was at an apartment complex in the Cleveland Avenue area doing surveillance on a vehicle that had been hijacked by another YSL associate. While operating in that undercover capacity, Mr. Stephens came out of the apartment along with that other YSL associate and brandished his handgun at that officer. Next, we have another act, Your Honor, where Mr. Stephens has a picture of himself on social media. He has several pictures on social media. Some of those captions on the video, on the images, identify YSL by using the term slime shit, and actually tags Mr. Stephens with one of his former Instagram handles as original slime _ slug. Also in January 2015, he has a drug incident that comes from 1813 Sylvan Road, in which he was found with narcotics in a vehicle. Also in one of the counts in our indictment, Your Honor, he was in a car off of Cleveland Avenue, which is in the YSL stronghold. He was in that car with a co-defendant on this indictment, Shannon Jackson, also known as Shannon Stillwell. While in the car, officers smelled the odor of marijuana. Upon the search of the vehicle, they found marijuana and a gun. At the time of finding both the gun, both him as well as Mr. Jackson were both convicted felons, and they were then charged accordingly. Your Honor, as you heard within the factual acknowledgement, he's also been engaged in conversations with other members of this indictment. We won't go back over what was said, but you also heard that through the factual acknowledgement in this case. So, Your Honor, based upon that factual synopsis and Mr. Stephens' affiliation, we will ask that the court accept his plea. Also, we would like to turn the state's exhibit 1TS into evidence.
One which?
TS.
1TF? Any objection, Ms. Gladden?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state's 1TF is admitted. Ms.
TS, Your Honor, S as in Stephens.
CS?
T as in Trontavious, S as in Stephens.
All right. Any objection, madam?
No, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted for purpose of plea. Ms. Hilton, those facts that you elucidated for the court, those are facts that the state would have proven had the case gone to trial beyond a reasonable doubt as it pertains to Mr. Stephens?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Ms. Gladden, again, good evening, madam. Anything you want to present on Mr. Stephens' behalf?
Just briefly, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Judge, I just wanted to point out, as the court, of course, can ascertain by the fact that he was only charged in the RICO counts. He's not involved and hasn't been charged separately in any criminal activity regarding this case. It has been alleged against some other co-defendants. He had a string of issues in 2011, 12, 13. He went to prison in 2015 and has been out since the end of 2018. And since then, he's been a model parolee. He's passed all of his urine screens. He's not gotten in any more trouble. In fact, they put a parole hold on him. But when they found out that this was mostly based on old crimes, and a few posts that were innocuous and some pictures, they did remove the parole hold. So I'm asking the court to accept the state's recommendation. And I just wanted to point out that he's tried to be a good citizen and do what he's supposed to do since he's been out of prison, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Stephens, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, do you have the opportunity to fully discuss the facts and circumstances of this case with your attorney, Ms. Gladden, your satisfaction?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did she explain to you the various constitutional rights you give up by pleading guilty to your satisfaction?
Yes, Your Honor.
Those are the same rights that my prosecutor, Ms. Hilton, just set forth on the record a few minutes ago. Do you have any questions about those rights you wish to ask me?
No, Your Honor.
All right. I am holding the indictment in this case, okay? And on page 6 of the indictment, I'm going to show you. Is this your signature on the page of this indictment above the word defendant?
Yes, sir.
All right. Before signing this indictment, did you have the opportunity to fully discuss the facts and circumstances of this indictment with your attorney, Ms. Gladden, to your satisfaction?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need more time to discuss it with her?
No.
Okay. But before you signed it, you had an opportunity to talk with her,
Yeah.
and you don't want to talk with her about the indictment anymore?
No.
Okay, all right. I'll know the indictment's been signed and the plea has been entered. Mr. Stephens, based upon the responses that you've given during the court's inquiry, I find that your guilty plea is freely and voluntarily entered. I find a factual basis for your plea. I'm going to accept your plea as tendered and as negotiated. To count one, conspiracy to violate the Racketeering Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, the court will sentence you to 10 years to serve 2 years. I'll commute that to the time you've already served, with a balance of 8 years on probation, subject to the special conditions that have already been set forth on the record. I'll go through those with you right now, but is that your understanding as to the base sentence?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you shall abide by each and every condition of the negotiated agreement. That's the one that you signed and Ms. Gladden signed along with the state's counsel. You remember that one?
Yes, sir.
That states SC1 as it pertains to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay? All right. You shall testify truthfully about all matters relating to this case upon which you are questioned in any trial or judicial proceedings stemming from.
And Judge Glanville here at this point is going to pretty much repeat and adopt the proposed agreement by Hilton, because now both sides have stipulated it's fine, we're agreeing to it, and Trontavious Stephens has acknowledged that he's agreeing to this voluntarily. If we switch over to, I'll link this again. So in the chat I just dropped, it looks like a long document because it has the transcript of this hearing, but the final 5 or so pages actually is everything that Trontavious Stephens had to initial as part of this agreement. And this is the part that everybody, I think it's worth, if you haven't seen it, I think everybody should see it. It's odd wording. It says, defendant cannot truthfully assert that anyone charged in this indictment is not guilty of the crimes as alleged in this indictment. The defendant will make no attempt at trial, prior to trial, or after trial to exonerate or exculpate anyone charged in this indictment of the crimes alleged in this indictment. Defendant will not claim that anyone on this indictment is not guilty of the crimes as charged in this indictment. Now, with a plea agreement where you're trying to get someone to testify in exchange for a reduced sentence, whatever the case may be, you do want them to acknowledge in some part that they're going to testify truthfully to the things that they've already agreed to you in private. So certain things like, hey, at this gas station on Cleveland Avenue, YSL associates sell drugs. You told us that. You're going to testify truthfully to that same fact when you're on the stand, right? Cool. But typically paragraphs like this should have some language that says, unless you come upon new information. This should not be written in a way that it's completely absolute. And when we get to cross-examination, the defense attorneys, especially Carrington Matthews, Shard a little bit too, but really Carrington Matthews, points all this out. And I think it was extremely effective when I first watched this back in January of this year. Like, Carrington Matthews really blew the testimony, these things like, yeah, YSL is a gang, yeah, they sell drugs at this gas station. Carrington Matthews gets up there and tears apart his testimony based on this paragraph here, because there's no way he can ever say anything other than this. So if Trontavious Stephens or anyone that takes a plea like this, and it's worded this way, they might have heard that somebody was a gang. But then 10 years later, when they bring these RICO charges finally, the person they heard something from says, oh, I lied about that. Well, according to this paragraph, they can't come and change their opinion based on that new information. Like, I don't know who wrote this, but it's just... But I think it ends up being a benefit for the defense because now they can poke holes in it. When we see Antonio Sledge testify, we're going to see some similarities, and I really loved this commentary. Thank you so much, Black Butterfly, who says, this is why I don't fear Munktung. His and Tick's plea were about the same, so the same language. We're going to see this again. The defense destroyed the Tick theory by the state. It's a dream team, and we will get through that. We're going to watch a bunch of direct, but when we get to cross-examination, you'll really see Shard and Carrington Matthews hone in on this paragraph here. Some other backing context that I think is important before we start playing Day 13 when Trontavious Stephens takes the stand. I think it's really important to note that, he was facing 5 to 20 years just because of that count 1, that RICO charge. That's the only thing that he was charged with. He pled out, right? So he got 2 years served for probation and has another 8 years of probation to serve. This is back in December of 2022. So probation kind of sucks. I think it's a trap. But at the same time, he could have been in custody. He was already in custody in jail for 8 months at the time he agreed to sign this plea agreement. He had said that he kept asking for a bond hearing, kept asking for a bond hearing, kept asking for a bond hearing, couldn't get a hearing, couldn't get any answers. Felt like he was locked back up for something he already did time for. And then suddenly this plea deal drops on his desk. And they give him this plea hearing, he accepts it, whatever. He'd spent over $50,000 in lawyer fees. We're going to see Brian Steele pull all this out, but just so you can have that context before we're watching hours of love direct examining Trontavious Stephens. He's got kids, he's got a whole family, and he's going to testify that he's been out of this street life, that he's the one that did stupid stuff on his own as an individual, not under any orders from Young Thug or YSL, but just on his own, doing stupid stuff. And he stopped doing bad things for a couple years. And then they suddenly pick him up, hold him for 8 months until they drop this plea deal on him. So it's going to be really interesting to watch, I think on a rewind, watch what he testifies to. And you heard me mention at the beginning of this stream, this is going to be a quick clip. Right at the end of day 12, I think it was day 12. Let me make sure it was day 12. Yes. Okay. So right at the end of day 12, after Judge Glanville calls for a recess, Love asks to approach, and I just think that is interesting. So let's just hear that little clip. This is going to be, let me change my banner. That way we know we're in 2023 at this point. But listen to this.
Morning, and then we'll start when everybody's accounted for. So we'll be in recess until that time. Thank you. All right.
Judge, may I ask quickly about it?
Did you hear it? I was going to do the love buffering because I want to go back and play that little part.
Just to get back in the habit, if you could turn in your listening device so we can charge them. Does anybody else have anything else they need to take up with the court before we recess for the evening? All right, hearing none, we'll see everybody here for 9:30 tomorrow morning, and then we'll start when everybody's accounted for. So we'll be in recess until that time.
Thank you.
All right.
Judge, may I ask quickly about it?
Know exactly what she says, but it sounds like she asks to approach and then asks more loudly, Judge, may I approach quickly about it or something. This is the link to day 12. I'm dropping in the chat if you guys want to listen with, I know you guys have like super hearing compared to me. I'm like, I don't know what they're saying. So there's that. And then we're going to get into day 13 the next day. There is, I believe we started with another witness on the stand. Let me get, and I did try to timestamp it so we can skip, like we don't need to scrub through all this in the morning just to get where Trontavious Stephens gets on the stand. But in the meantime, thank you so much again, Black Butterfly, for your thoughts. I'm agreeing with you on the Moonktune stuff. And again, AV to the 7th Power is going to do a recap on all things Moonktune, Antonio Sledge, before he takes the stand. She hasn't scheduled it yet, though, but make sure you guys are keeping an eye out for that if you want the backstory on Moonktune. And thank you. Shamina had became a member. Dear Will Christian became a member. That's good. The green looks good on you, DWC. Shady B33, you rhyme. That's some rhyming going on with your name. Became a member. Kristen's been with us for a whole month. Thank you so much. And then Sapphire, thanks so much for the sticker. I thought YouTube was being a little funky to you, or maybe it was your Apple device acting like you were having internet connection issues, but you said you were watching fine with us, so maybe we just have special powers. Thanks so much for the sticker. And then Marlena says, Granville makes me cringe saying my prosecutors. Yeah, and you guys caught that with the quickness. Thank you so much, Marlena. So again, we are all the way back on January 3rd. Slug Tick Trontavious Stephens is going to be on the stand through January 29th because they take like a week-long recess. They have a bunch of half days. They have some issues that come up. Judge Glanville gets sick. So I think we've got probably 5 or 6 days where he's actually on the stand for a court day. But yeah, this spans from January 3rd all the way to January 29th. So here's when they first call him. We'll be looking at direct, and we're going to do 1.25 speed. It will be Love doing the questioning, so if you guys want to change the speed, you guys let me know.
Okay. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Trontavious Stephens.
All right, summon Mr. Trontavious Stephens, please. All right, Mr. Stephens, good morning, sir. Sir, if you could please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, if you would turn and face our name and be sworn as a witness before you sit down, sir.
She's wearing the blood red.
Trontavious Stephens, Trontavious Stephens.
Good morning, Mr. Stephens.
Come on,
How are you?
I'm okay.
Mr. Stephens, would you please tell the jury how old you are?
I'm 30 years old.
And did you grow up here in Atlanta?
Yes.
Where did you go to high school?
I went to South Atlanta High School.
And when you were growing up, what part of Atlanta did you live in?
Off Cleveland Avenue.
How long did you stay off Cleveland Avenue?
That's my only address.
Okay. So you still live there?
Yes.
And I think if you guys tuned in late to this trial, it's important to mention that Love's theory of the case is that Rock Crew kind of hybridized and some of the members became part of YSL, the gang YSL. We're going to see some very interesting question and answers from Trontavious Stephens about the relationship, if any, between Rock Crew, YSL, and particularly Young Thug. So that's why you're going to hear so much focus about Cleveland Avenue, Raised on Cleveland, Rock Crew.
And did you grow up with siblings in your home?
Yes, I had 2 older brothers.
So are you the youngest of all of your
Yes.
siblings? While you were in high school, would you tell the jury whether you participated in any extracurricular activities or anything of that nature?
No, I didn't.
You didn't play football?
No.
And as a kid or as a teenager, did you have any desire to be anything in particular when you grew up?
Yes, I always wanted to be a chef.
You wanted to be a chef?
Yes.
Did you ever pursue that dream?
No.
Now, did you finish high school? You said you went to South Atlanta High School?
No, I didn't finish high school.
What grade did you finish?
10th.
Now, why did you leave high school when you did?
Bad grades, and I was expelled. Too.
Do you remember why you were expelled?
Fighting and lack of attendance.
Did you go on to get your GED?
I actually had one more course to pass, and that's math.
All right. And are you still working on that?
Yes.
Do you work now?
Yes.
What type of work do you do?
Traffic control, and I'm in school. Where I recently graduated, I got my CDL license.
All right. So are you using your CDL license as well?
So I passed my test Friday. This was supposed to be my week to go look for work, but I'm here.
But you're here. All right. We appreciate you being here. Now, when you first finished school, or when you first left school, high school that is, what did you do every day after you left high school?
That's a broad question, Your Honor.
I'll sustain it instead of being overbroad. Why don't you just rephrase it, please?
Yes, Your Honor. When you left high school, did you start working anywhere?
No,
Did you stay at home and take care of family members?
I had 2 kids at the time, but no, I didn't stay home.
Did you have any way to make money during that time?
No,
Did you make any money during that time after you graduated from high school?
I never graduated from high school.
I'm sorry, you're right. Forgive me and thank you for that correction. After you left high school, did you make money at some point before you started what you're currently working towards?
No, I basically was trying to find my adult self.
Now, you said you did not make any money. Is that legally you didn't make any money, or you didn't make any money in any way whatsoever?
I didn't make any money.
Were there any particular people that you found your core group of friends while you were in high school?
People that I grew up with from my neighborhood.
And when you left high school, are these the same people that you continue to associate with?
Yes, for the most part.
And as a general matter, when you first left high school, would you tell the jury, if you can recall, what types of things that you did outside of school and outside of your home, if anything at all, with this group of friends?
We often hung at the neighborhood park,
What's the name of that park?
Cleveland Avenue Park.
Cleveland Avenue Park. Where exactly is Cleveland Avenue Park located?
On Cleveland Avenue.
Where on Cleveland Avenue? Give us any other reference that you can think of.
So it's connected to Cleveland Avenue Elementary School.
Is there any other name that you have used or that your friends have used to refer to Cleveland Avenue Park?
Yes,
Would you tell the jury what that is?
the park.
Have you ever called it Cleveland Avenue Park?
The park?
Have you ever called Cleveland Avenue Park Cleveland Avenue Park?
No, I just said the park.
While you were a teenager and a young adult, did you ever get involved in any games?
Yes.
Tell the jury, if you would, the first game that you got involved with.
First game that I was involved with was Rock Crew.
Now, would you tell the jury what, and for the court reporter's sake, would you spell rock?
ROC, CREW,
Thank you. And what does rock stand for?
raised on Cleveland.
Now, were you the only
Hold on. This is hilarious what he just did, and I don't know if it was intentional, but you heard how Love was trying to get him to say that him and his friends all called Cleveland Park Believeland Park because they didn't want to use the C. They had to use the B instead. But then when she asked him to say what Rock Crew stands for and spell it out, and so it's not just ROCK, it's supposed to stand for R raised on Cleveland, he takes it one step further and also spells out crew with a C. So if they were so opposed to saying the word C, wouldn't they have made their name Crew with a K?
member of Rock Crew, or were there other members of Rock Crew besides yourself?
Yes,
Yes, there were other members.
yes.
Do you know about how many people were members of Rock Crew when you first joined?
No,
Were there more than 3?
yes.
Around what time in your life did you join Rock Crew? How old were you?
You want to grab one from the MP?
I'm not sure what that was, Judge. It was not the witness.
I don't know what it was either.
Tell the jury, would you like us to hold on?
Just hold on 1 second.
Oh, is that the Zoom boomer? That's when the guy gets on there free thug, right?
Okay, all right. There's Lynch getting on Zoom. Lynch.
Oh. Okay, that wasn't it. That was just someone saying they were present. But we have to listen. There is a Zoom bomb during Slug's testimony at some point. I don't remember when. But someone, I think they get on there screaming to free Young Thug.
We good? Okay, all right. Huh?
Yes, hold on a second.
She's gonna take it. Take it on. Okay, all right. Yeah, we can just, hey, Wes, just go ahead and disconnect them. Just disconnect them. All right, we're good. Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
About how old were you when you first joined Rock Crew?
I don't call it at that age, probably 15, 14.
14 or 15?
Yeah.
And who was it, if anybody at all, that first introduced you to Rock Crew?
So, that person is deceased, and per the family wishes, I mean, it was like Can I not speak on the deceased?
I understand. I appreciate that. And how about this? Without giving their full legal name, are you able to tell the jury the nickname?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury the nickname of the person?
His name is Boo.
Spell that for the court.
Boo, B-O-O.
Now, how old was Boo when he introduced you to Rockford?
I really don't know what age now.
Fair enough. Was he older than you, around your same age?
Yes, he was older than me.
So was he your friend or friends of any particular members of your family? Like, when you first were introduced to Rock Crew through him, did you know him personally? Or were you introduced to him through someone?
I'm trying to recall, it's been so long ago, trying to remember how I actually met him. So yeah, it had to be like, me knowing someone he knew.
Okay. Did Rock Crew have any particular way that they identified themselves, or that you all identified yourselves? Like, did you make yourselves known to the community that you were Rock Crew?
It really didn't have to because all of us was raised on pleading, and that's what it stood for, raised on pleading.
Did you all do some things that were not legal as Rock Crew?
Did you all do some things that was not legal as a rock crew? So it was alleged that rock crew committed the crimes in the neighborhood. Myself personally, I had a criminal record at the time. So yes, because I was a rock crew and I had a criminal record, so yes.
Now, I'm asking a specific question now, okay? Did you and other members of Rock Crew ever commit any crimes together?
No,
Never?
no.
All right. And are you aware of other members of Rock Crew committing crimes?
I'm aware that allegedly they was committing crimes. Everyone had a record at the time. Well, like some of us had a record at the time.
Members of Rock Crew had
Yes,
records.
yes.
And did they have those records or get those records while they were operating as Rock Crew?
Yes, people caught cases as when it was rock crew.
What kind of cases did they catch as Rock Crew?
So, my childhood friend, he had a burglary.
What was the name of your childhood friend?
Jason Scott.
Basis.
Relevance, we're not talking about crimes, we're talking about charges.
Your Honor.
Y'all come on, please.
And did you see that Trontavious Stephens looked offended when there was an objection? Like, I don't think he understood that I don't, maybe he couldn't hear what the defense attorney was saying, but he looked like he was the one getting yelled at personally. So we're gonna do the sidebar, we're gonna skip them. Because we're gonna see how much we condense this January 3rd through January 20th down by skipping all these parts. Shout out to FFS for bringing the popcorn.
Thank you for waiting, Mr. Stephens. Going back to the members of Rock Crew, would you tell the jury the names of some of your accomplices who were members of Rock Crew? Some of the people who were members of Rock Crew at the time that you were a member of Rock Crew?
Tell you some of the names that was. So, of course, my brothers,
What were your brothers' names?
DeMario
First and last name.
DeMario Stephens, Trontavious Stephens.
Okay. And were they members of Rock Crew before you were a member of Rock Crew?
So we actually all just at the same time.
Joined Rock Crew at the same time?
Yes.
All right. Would you tell the jury other members of Rock Crew?
So like I was saying, my childhood friend Jason, he was a member.
Jason, what was that last name?
Scott.
All right. what were the other, and let me back up just a bit if you don't mind. I know that you've given your friend's family assurances that you won't be speaking on him, but in order to establish certain facts for the jury, I'm going to have to speak on
Objection, these are not questions, Your Honor.
and ask you questions.
Well, if you're over objection, wait a second. Do you mind me talking? Yeah. Just wait 5 minutes, okay? Based upon our bench conference, or based upon that, I'm gonna sustain the objection, okay?
Sustain it, Your Honor.
So,
Don't want me to ask you that?
no, I'm overruled objection. Okay, so. Mr. Stevens, you're not to answer the questions, okay? All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Stevens, Boo, was that person's name Quentin Porter?
Yes.
And was that person the person who founded Rock Crew?
I'm not sure. They was all older guys, so I don't know who found it.
Was he considered the leader of Rock Crew during the time that you were a member of Rock Crew?
So it really wasn't no formal like leader. It was older guys. So if you want to say that he was one of the older guys, yes, he was one of the older guys.
Was he able to tell you or younger guys what to do as Rock Crew?
No one gave me any orders.
What kinds of things did you and other members of Rock Crew do on a daily basis together?
Like I said, we often hung at Cleveland Avenue Park. That was like the hangout. We shot basketball, gambled on basketball, jump shots. We shot dice. We smoked weed, drunk liquor. We clubbed. Yeah, those
You all
things.
sell drugs?
Not at the time. I wasn't selling drugs
When you say at the time, what time is it that you're referring to?
because I was initially arrested in 2015 for possession of marijuana. That's when I was selling drugs.
Other members of Rock Crew, did other members of Rock Crew, to your knowledge, engage in selling drugs?
Not to my knowledge. I mean, it was a person you can purchase marijuana from at park for like recreational use, but
Was that person a Rock Crew member?
nah.
No?
Have
I mean,
an answer.
Your Honor, you
I'm
explain.
overruled objection.
Go ahead, please.
yeah. So, we was young. We didn't know where to get no marijuana from, so guys would come to the park knowing that we wanted to smoke weed. So those guys weren't like Rock Crew or like hanging with us on a daily basis. They were just older guys trying to make some money off the young guys.
Mr. Stevens, before today, did I or any other member of the DA's office attempt to speak with you and just discuss with you what questions we'd ask of you or things of that nature?
So, yes, but no one explained to me the second part that you said. It was just meet somewhere, and I was trying to ask my lawyer to understand what was this meeting pertaining to.
And you're saying that no one, not even myself, prior to you coming in here today, ever told you, we just want to talk with you about the questions we're going to ask you?
Oh, yes, ma'am, you told me that yesterday.
Okay. Did you agree to talk with me yesterday?
No, ma'am, my lawyer wasn't present.
Do you know or recognize Mr. Brian Steele when you see him?
Yes,
You see him in the courtroom?
Yes.
Where is he?
to the left of me, in front of me.
All right. Is he
Now pay attention because this all comes down to not just there being an issue with I'm trying to do something and you didn't let me do my job. This has some personal offense. This is another moment where I think Love feels personally slighted just because.
he's seated next to, who is to his right?
Jeffrey Williams.
All right. And do you know Mr. Keith Adams when you see him?
I got familiar with his name yesterday, but yeah, I seen him.
You did talk to them yesterday, though?
Yes.
How long did you talk to them?
Roughly, no more than 10, 13 minutes.
Is your testimony that you spoke with them for 10 or 13 minutes?
Yes,
That's all?
yes.
Did you agree to speak with me for 10 to 13 minutes?
No, not without my lawyer present.
Why were you willing to speak with Jeffrey Williams' lawyers for 10 to 13 minutes, but not me?
I never declined speaking with you. I told you that my lawyer wasn't present.
Did I ask you, or were you speaking to your lawyer on the phone when I was asking to speak with you?
Yes,
And did I ask you to have your lawyer on the phone while we were speaking?
no,
I didn't ask you that.
no. You told,
Did I ask, go ahead.
you told me that you was going to go over the indictment with me. I mean, the plea agreement with me. You never said that you can keep her on the phone while we talk.
And is it your testimony that you were never told or asked to three-way or conference call your lawyer while we spoke with you? Is that your testimony today?
That you told me that yesterday?
That you were never told by me or Investigator Randolph or anyone that you were able to and could three-way or conference call or even Zoom your lawyer while you were speaking with us?
So my lawyer was telling me that she was not going to be able to be with me because she was out of town with her family and that she could sit in with Zoom.
Your lawyer told you that she could sit in with you?
Yes.
And did you ever agree to sit in on a Zoom call and talk to us with your lawyer via Zoom?
So, like I was explaining to my lawyer, the time that she was telling me, I actually broke down on the side of the highway. I was on the phone with her all night. I had me and my son in the car, and I was telling her that getting me and my son home safely was like the most important thing that I was trying to figure out at the time.
Mr. Stephens, during that time that you're referring to, were you not at a football game or a game with your son?
So I said the initial night, she told me that night. She first told me about it at nighttime when she called my phone.
Again, so why is it that you were willing to speak with Jeffrey Williams' lawyers and not me? It was not accepted.
I will rule objection. Can I make an objection to Ms. Sheridan to mischaracterizing the response from the witness? No stage. I want this being an objection. I will rule objection.
Why were you willing to speak with Jeffrey Williams' lawyers and not me?
I never declined speaking with you. I told you that my lawyer was in prison when you asked me.
Demolishing her.
Testimony today is that you never declined to speak with me.
Stating I stand.
Are you telling the jury that you never declined to speak with me?
I'm a standing objection.
Do you have a tattoo behind your ear that says 75K over 18?
Yes.
What does that tattoo stand for?
It was basically manifesting that I reached a certain amount of money before I turned 18.
Did you ever tell anyone in the district attorney's office that it was in fact because you did have a certain amount of money when you turned 18?
I don't recall.
So, do you recall whether you in fact had $75,000 at the time you were 18?
I never had $75,000 at the time of 18.
And you don't recall, is it your testimony, you just don't remember whether you ever told anybody in the DA's office, that's what that 75 over 18 case stood for?
One at a time, please.
The choir of objections.
Objection.
That's it.
Overruled. Next person. Ms. Westmoreland.
Same objection.
Overruled.
Thank you. And so, you have no memory of ever telling someone in the district attorney's office that 75K over 18 was a tattoo that you got because you had $75,000 when you were 18 years old.
Object to the form of the question and ask the answer.
Overruled, Mr. Harvey.
Time.
Overruled.
There's
Mr.
Harvey
Harvey.
snapping in the back.
I put an objection of Vegas who and what time, I believe, are the predicates to answer that type of question. No, I object.
So noted, sir. You rephrased, madam, one of us is saying the last objection.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Steele, you don't have to oppose it.
Did you, have you ever told an investigator Belknap that the 75K over 18 was because you had, you got that tattoo because you had $75,000 by the time you were 18 years old?
So I don't recall. I started getting in trouble when I was 11 years old, so that was roughly 14, 15 years ago. I don't recall.
What things did you talk about with Mr. Adams and Mr. Steele yesterday?
What did he say? Mr. Adams asked me where was Chrissy. Mr. Steele was explaining to me that it's a chance that I probably won't take the stand today, so having you sit out here from 8:30 to 5:30 is like not good because I had a job, I got a job, and I was trying to make it work.
And did you all speak at all about what questions you might be asked on the stand?
So he showed me some images
The question I'm asking you is, did you all talk at all about the questions that you might be asked on the stand?
If I'm not like wording his exact words, he said these images may be shown to you tomorrow.
Mr. Stevens, I appreciate that part. I'm asking you specifically, did you, Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams, talk at all about the questions that you might be asked on the stand? First of all, how about this? Could you answer either in the affirmative or in the negative, either yes or no, and then give your explanation? Could you do that for us, please?
Yes.
So did you, Mr. Adams and Mr. Steele, talk at all about the questions that you might be asked while you were on the stand?
Yes, Mr. Steele showed me some images, and he said that you may be asked about these images.
And is that the only thing you all discussed when it came to questions you might be asked?
So what Love is really reaching for here is she wants some reason to be able to insinuate that the attorneys for the defense are coaching the witness on how to deliver his testimony, how to respond to questions, which you're not supposed to do. Look how much he's hammering down on this. And he's just like, he showed me pictures.
On the stand.
Yes.
Now, did anyone at any time, tell you how you might want to answer anything of that nature?
No.
And when you were shown the pictures that may be shown to you while you were on the stand, what was the conversation around those pictures?
So Chrissy was sitting right next to me. She's my attorney.
Okay. Christy, Ms. Black.
Chris, Miss Glad, I'm
In
sorry.
the courtroom today?
Yes.
Is she sitting somewhere back there waiting at you right now?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
So Miss Gladden told Mr. Steele that she has that file and she would pull it up for me, and that was the end.
Were there any more communications, any other conversations about the pictures you might be shown or any other questions that might be?
I'm going to see if you're going to be called and try to get your excuse for it.
Anything else?
No.
Other than Mr. Porter and your two brothers, would you please tell the jury, and Mr. Scott, please tell the jury other members of Rock Crew who were members during the time that you were a member?
Part's good.
So you want me to name everyone that I grew up with, basically?
I would like for you to name for the jury other people who were members of Rock Crew during the time that you were a member.
I mean, are you gonna tell them to stop, or is there a certain amount of people you need to name or
Would
anything?
you please just name some of them?
Just some of them?
So just name some people, all of the ones you remember who were members of Rock Crew.
Everyone?
Mr. Stevens, would you please name the members of Rock Crew who were members while you were a member?
I probably wouldn't even be able to name everyone.
Name the ones you can name.
So, again, I probably won't be able to name everyone first and last name. So I got my next door neighbor, we grew up together. His name's Marvin.
I need you to just name the members of Rock Crew, not friends, not people you grew up with necessarily, just, if you would just give the names of the people who were members. If you did, when you Jackson Chief. I think you all that list.
Okay, so the prosecutor asked a question and interrupted with his.
Your Honor.
Let him finish and then you can go to his question, okay?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm asking to make certain that that the answer is responsive. I'm asking for members of Rock Crew, and because he's referencing certain things.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm asking to make sure that we're clear.
I understand, ma'am.
Would you name for the jury members of Rock Crew who were members of Rock Crew while you were a member?
Yes. So I started referencing certain things because that was.
I'm sorry. I need you to be responsive, and I need you can explain afterwards.
Okay.
You just name the people.
That's the thing. I'm trying to use my memory of what people stated on my street to help you, basically.
I appreciate you. But let me start by asking this. Do you remember the people who were members of Rock Crew while you were a member of Rock Crew?
I mean, that was 10, 11 years ago.
You're not answering that question.
I can try.
I'm asking you if you remember the names of the people.
Not by heart, man.
You don't remember any of them?
Yes, I'm trying to, I almost can remember. Like I said, I stayed in the same house for 30 years. So I can almost remember where everyone stayed at, and I'm trying to put the house with the name. So that's why I started with my neighbor. And like, that's that's the direction I was here today.
Go ahead.
All right. So,
Marvin, what's your name?
Yeah.
Who else?
There was another Jason. So I'm just like basically going up and down the street because all us raised on the street. That's off Cleveland, so that's what made us rock crew. So of course, Quentin. His little brothers. He had 2 younger brothers. It's like gonna be hard.
Are those the only people you remember?
They're like straight off top. I'm like,
Did you ever talk with the members of Rock Crew about things that you all did that were not exactly legal?
I don't recall. Can you I don't understand the question. Can you say it again?
Did you ever talk with members of Rock Crew about the things that you did, you and other members of Rock Crew, that were not exactly legal?
Yes.
What types of things did you all talk about?
So, shooting dice wasn't technically illegal. I had conversations about the dice game after it was over with.
Was shooting dice the only thing that was not legal that you all discussed that you all did?
Again, that I can recall.
That's the only thing you remember? You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Do you recall whether members of Rock Crew stole ATM machines?
I'm familiar with the allegations, yes.
How are you familiar with the allegations?
It was like worldwide televised. So, not worldwide, but it was like televised stuff. I was in a juvenile detention facility when those allegations were like being brought about, being talked about. So, yes, I was familiar with it.
Did you ever hear members of Rock Crew talking about it? Your Honor, no, it's not.
All right, let me rule objection. Objection to overrule, okay? So, yes, you may answer the question. Overrule, sir.
So, I was in juvenile and other people who was coming in fresh from off the street was like mentioning, hey, they're saying that guys from the neighborhood are responsible for these.
I'm not asking you that. I asked you a very, very specific question, so if you would please answer this question I'm asking you. Did you ever hear members of Rock Crew talking about the ATM thefts?
Oh, no.
Never.
Me? No.
Hold on, Mr. Steele. What's the answer?
Tell the judge your answer.
No.
And did you ever discuss the ATM thefts with any members of Rock Crew?
I don't recall.
Did you ever discuss any members of Rock Crew's drug sales?
Your Honor, I just,
What's the base for your objection? Let me, what's the base for your objection, sir?
foundation for time.
I'll sustain this a foundation, okay? You can rephrase, madam, okay?
Yes, Judge.
All right.
What year was it that you recall first being an active or being a member of Rock Crew? You said you were around a certain age. What year was that?
I'll rule that objection.
That means you can answer.
Oh. I had to be in about 6th grade. So whatever, what, you about 11 or 12 in the 6th grade?
Would you tell the jury what year you remember first becoming or being a member of Rock Crew?
I'm trying to count. I'm kind of bad with math. That's why I ain't passed the math part of my GED yet.
Let me ask you a different question while you count. Handle them both at the same time. That's okay with you?
No, one thing at a time, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you want to be here today?
Do I want to be here
Do you
today?
want to be here?
No.
I'm gonna overrule the objection, Mr. Matthews.
So I'm sorry, there was no, what was your answer?
No.
Why not?
Because I have a new career path that I'm trying to pursue. I've been filing applications. kind of trying to put all this behind me and move forward. And I paid for my CDL training school out my pocket, so I'm kind of trying to make that money back.
So do you don't mind testifying then? Is that fair to say?
No.
Okay. And you don't mind testifying truthfully?
No.
Okay. So if you would, give us a rough estimate of the year you first joined or were a member of Block Crew. Were you a member in 2010?
If I was in 6th grade, I'm trying to put what year I was in 6th grade.
How old were you in 2010?
I was trying to do my math.
Don't do the math, let me ask you this. What year were you born?
1993.
1993. So in 2013, would that have made you about 20? Do you agree?
2013.
Yep. 93, 2003 is
13.
10, 2013 is 20.
20.
Now we back up 3 years. From 13, that puts us at 2010, which makes you about 17.
You're going too fast.
I'm so sorry. You can slow it down.
Overruled.
So in 2010, if you're about 17 years old, who's a member of Rock Crew with you during that time?
You just gave me a lot of numbers.
No, just around the age of 17. Who is a member of Rock Crew with you during that time?
My older brothers. The same people I gave you, the same name I gave you.
Okay. And those are still the only ones you remember even at 17?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, as a member of Rock Crew, did you also claim affiliation with the National Blood Gang?
Yes.
How was it that you, and Quentin Porter, what role did he have, if any at all, in your affiliation with the Bloods?
No.
None?
No.
None whatsoever?
No.
Okay. So how then did you become, or were you all affiliated with the Bloods?
How then did I become, or you all, or me?
We can start with you, and then go to other members of Rock Crew.
So when I was in a juvenile facility, gang-related activity was going on all through there.
How do you define gang-related activity? What do you mean by that?
Saying you in the game, hand signs, handshakes.
And is that a way or a means for people to identify themselves as being in a particular gang?
Yes.
What were some of the hand signs that you observed in the juvenile detention center?
Just at the time, because everything was new and we was like so young. I mean, I can explain it. I can show you.
Sure.
You gotta give me a hand.
No, you have you have to show the jury with your hand. I didn't say handshake, I said hand sign. So you have to show the jury with your own hand.
Your Honor, I'm in no way like toying with this judicial system. I'm not. I mean, like that. I'm not trying to like play. Just for the record. But yeah.
So show the jury.
I need another hand.
Are you telling the jury right now that you're unable to show hand signs without someone else's hand?
So
Handshake.
my initial response
Handshake,
was
lady.
a handshake. I said there's this handshake because we were so young. That's the only thing that we was doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also mentioned hand signs. Do you remember saying that?
But you asked me.
Wait, just let me ask you that. Do you remember saying hand signs?
Yes.
So did you see hand signs in the juvenile detention center?
It was new. I mean, like gang and stuff was new back then.
So finish telling the jury what your definition of gang activity means.
Hand movements.
I'm sorry.
Hand movements, handshakes, colors.
But he agreed to testify to this as part of his plea. He has to say these things.
People who's doing the same handshakes, wearing the same colors and hand movements.
What gang activities did you observe as it relates to particular gangs while you were in the juvenile detention center? You understand my question because I can rephrase.
You rephrase.
What gangs did you see activity of while you were in the juvenile detention center?
The one that I was familiar with, the blood.
What particular blood gang did you see activity of in the juvenile detention center?
Objection, foundation.
I'll sustain the objection. You can lay a little more foundation, madam.
How did you know that they were bloods?
They were saying it.
Did they say what kind of bloods they were?
Again, gang stuff was like new. I was in juvenile, like it wasn't what it is. Like then, I mean,
Since you were in juvenile, you were under, where, is it fair to say you were under the age of 17?
nah, because I was sentenced in juvenile that you can exceed the age of 17.
So you were either 17 or younger.
Now, I actually could have been older. I could have been 21. Like,
How old were you?
when I first got arrested, I was
You were
11.
juvenile.
I was 11 when I was first introduced to the juvenile system.
So is this the time frame you're talking about when you're saying it was all new to you?
Yes.
Okay, when you were 11. Thank you. All right. Now let's talk about when you were 17. At 17, did you claim any particular gang besides rock?
I was rock crew. Just rock crew.
Did you claim any affiliation with any blood gangs?
Yes, I claim, yes.
What blood gang did you claim affiliations with?
We were just saying Bloods and Crips.
I'm asking which one? Are you aware of particular blood gangs?
Yes, yes.
Would you tell the jury what blood gangs you are aware of?
Tell the jury which blood gangs I'm aware of. I'm familiar with, I'm aware of. SMU.
What is SMM?
It's a blood gang.
I know. Okay. What does it stand for?
Sex, money, murder.
All right. And who is its leader?
I'm not sure.
How are you aware of it?
How am I aware of the name?
Of sex, money, murder?
From hearing about it type stuff. From like hearing about it and stuff.
From hearing about it?
Yeah.
From whom?
Who I heard about it from?
Yes.
Well, it's not no like particular person that I heard it from. It's like, I heard about it though.
So what else do you know about sex, money, murder?
It's a blood gang.
Is there anything else that you know about sex, money, murder?
Not like officially, no.
Did you ever do anything to become a member of sex, money, murder?
No.
Did you ever publicly claim sex, money, murder?
I don't recall.
While you were hearing about things like sex, money, murder, did you ever learn or believe that harm would come to people who did things like falsely claim sex, money, murder?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay.
I'm gonna overrule that, sir.
Shout out to Weinstein.
What?
That means you can answer.
Oh, one more time, I'm sorry.
While you were hearing things about sex, money, murder, did you ever hear or come to believe that harm would come to people who falsely claimed sex, money, murder?
Objection, compound question.
Sustained.
Do you have any knowledge whether harm could come to a person who falsely claimed sex, money, murder?
No, not personally.
Did you ever hear that harm could come to a person who falsely claimed?
That's it. I'm gonna sustain the objection.
Your Honor, it's not for the truth of the matter asserted, it's for its impact on him.
Okay, all right. I'll reverse my decision. He can answer that.
Did you ever,
An instruction, and that this is not, you're not.
Your Honor, I would.
Mr. Harvey, please sit down, sir. I'm gonna overrule your objection, okay? All right.
Did you ever hear that harm could come to a person who falsely claimed sex, money, murder? Who said that?
Who said that's an answer?
I don't think anyone.
Mr. Harvey?
I said that's.
Okay, all right, that has been asked and answered, Ms. Love.
Your Honor, he did not answer that particular one. He answered,
Hang on. Hold on.
I can't tell if they sidebarred because the camera guy is.
He has answered the question, ma'am. Yeah.
did you see it when you heard it? Did you believe,
Mr. Steele, I'm gonna overrule that objection.
did you believe it when you heard it?
Say somebody harm me?
That harm could come to a person who falsely claimed sex, money, murder?
Yes.
Are you aware of any of the hand signs used to proclaim sex, money, murder?
Yes.
Are you able to perform or to demonstrate any of these hand signs without the use of somebody else's hand?
Yes.
Would you please show the jury one hand sign signifying sex, money, murder? What does that mean?
Blood.
Okay. And what are you describing? For the court reporter's sake, describe how you just hurled your fingers.
Okay. I made a circle at my pointing finger and my thumb, and I made another circle by my middle finger.
And are you familiar with any other signs that signify sex, money, murder?
Yes.
Would you describe it before you show it? What other signs are you familiar with?
What I described before I show it. A smaller circle.
What else?
And not curling my index finger this time.
Are those the only ones that you're familiar with?
Yes.
Would you show the jury the things that you just described? What is that?
A small, a lowercase b.
And what does that stand for?
Blood.
Okay. And what was the other one that you described? Or was that the only one?
I described a capitalized B.
Okay. Are those the only two hand signs you're familiar with that are related to sex, money, murder?
Yeah, that I can call them.
Ms. Love, before you continue, posit your next question, we've been going a little bit. It might be appropriate, given the hour at this point, to have a break for lunch.
Yes, Your Honor.
And let the jury also have a period of respite. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, how about some lunch at this point in time? All right, let's.
All right, so we're gonna get to this. Was back in the day when they used to split some of the days into two parts. So technically a different video. Okay, this one's Fox. I'll make sure they have the captions. And we're gonna come back from lunch on day 13.
All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. All right, Ms. Love, you may continue with the examination now.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon again, Mr. Stephens.
Good afternoon.
Did you have a good lunch?
I ate some trail mix.
Some trail mix? Okay, well, if you get hungry, let us know. We'll stop, right?
Shout out to Trail Mix.
All right. So when we last left off at lunch, you were talking about the hand signs that you know are affiliated with sex, money, murder. Would you tell the jury how it is that you are aware that those are hand signs that are affiliated or connected with sex, money, murder?
Really? Like word of mouth? Like, being
Thanks,
around,
Indy Love, for
being in
becoming a
streets.
member.
Being around and being in the streets. Have you ever used those hand signs?
I have.
Have you ever falsely claimed sex, money, murder?
No one, I never got jumped in. I never knew anyone who's like really official.
You said something interesting just now. You said, I never got jumped in. Would you tell the jury what that is?
Like the initiation process.
And what is the initiation?
So she just skipped the part where he also said, I never knew anyone officially in it. Which implies what? That everybody that Love is going to question and imply some type of affiliation or membership with that could be sitting in this courtroom or as part of one of the severed co-defendants cases, they were never affiliated here. They were never official. But Love just skipped that part of his answer.
Process.
Being jumped in.
I asked that question narrowly.
Yeah.
The question is just broad.
I'm gonna overrule the objection at this point in time, Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Your Honor. You may answer that question.
The initiation process.
Yes, you said that being jumped in was the initiation process.
Right.
And I asked you, what is the initiation?
Your Honor, I apologize as well. I think that is mischaracterizing the statement of Mr. Steele. I object.
Agreed.
To the former question.
Hold on a second. I'm overruling the objection, Mr. Steele.
You may answer the question, Mr. Jury.
The initiation process.
Yes, what is it?
Oh, to be jumped in.
What does that consist of?
A fist fight.
A fist fight?
Yes.
Okay. Between who?
A person who's already in and a person who's trying to get in.
And to what end? How long does the fist fight have to take place?
I guess to the person who initiating the person say it's enough.
How do you know that?
All that type stuff is going on in the juvenile facility that I was in.
Now, my question to you, and I appreciate your answer, was have you ever falsely claimed sex money murder?
I never been jumped in.
I'm asking you,
So I never
have
went.
you
Your Honor,
ever falsely?
Stevens, you'll have to finish it.
I'll sustain the objection. Let him finish, Ms.
Yes.
Love, okay?
Go ahead.
I never went through the process of being jumped in the initial game.
Have you ever falsely claimed sex money murder?
Yes.
You have falsely claimed it.
Yes.
Where and how often?
So I've never been jumped in. So like ever since I started saying it, ever since I was in juvenile and I got a tattoo of a bee. So basically,
Say that one more time.
ever since I was in juvenile and I got a tattoo of a bee.
And you got a tattoo of a bee.
Yes.
Okay. Now, is Rock Crew affiliated with sex money murder?
I'm Rock Crew and I know about sex money murder. So yes.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I'm a part of Rock Crew. I was a part of Rock Crew, and I was a part of sex money murder. So, yes,
Are other members of Rock Crew a part of sex money murder?
my other members are part of Rock Crew, sex money murder. Yes,
Do you see any members of Rock Crew or any people who were members of Rock Crew in the courtroom today?
no one in this courtroom was initially raised on Cleveland. So there's no way that they can be part of Rock Crew.
So you're saying that there's no one in this courtroom who was ever a member of Rock Crew?
No one in this courtroom was raised on Cleveland with me to be able to be a part of a crew called Raised on Cleveland.
Mr. Stephens, I appreciate what you're telling us. I'm asking you, was anyone in this courtroom besides yourself ever a member of Rock Crew?
What the former question was, the different question there, but that wasn't what the question.
So is it form of the question, Mr. Harvey?
I object to the form of the question.
Okay, all right. I sustain that objection. All right, you can rephrase that if you can.
Was anyone in this courtroom besides yourself ever a member of Rock Crew?
No, because you have to be born and raised on Cleveland Avenue to be a part of.
It's so annoying. She thinks that repeating these questions is one, okay, two, that it's going to help her somehow. But how is it helpful for her to keep having him repeat? No. ROC stands for Raised on Cleveland. By definition, the men on the other side of this room, the 6 co-defendants, by definition, could not have been Rock members. She just keeps making him say it.
Rock crew.
Was anyone in this courtroom besides yourself ever affiliated with Rock Crew?
Yes, because they know me.
Who?
Some of them weren't even around when the Rock crew era was going on. They kind of been like, dang.
Really looking hard, like making sure.
No, cause none of them be like a part of Rock crew.
Okay, so you said none of them could be, so
No.
no one here in this courtroom besides yourself, is your testimony, has ever been affiliated with Rock Crew?
No. A part of Rock crew? I don't understand.
What part don't you understand?
The question. The entirety of the question.
Okay. Is there anyone in this courtroom besides yourself who has ever claimed to be a part of or affiliated with Rock Crew?
No, no one claimed Rock crew.
Speculation.
I sustained as to, that was Mr. Shart and Mr. Matthews sustained as to both rounds. So you can rephrase, madam.
To your knowledge, has anyone in this courtroom besides you ever claimed to have been affiliated with Rock Crew?
Can going to neighborhood clubs be a form of affiliation?
I can't answer the question or testify. You have to tell the jury whatever your answer is.
If that is the case, yes.
And so who are these people?
That went to the club with Rock crew? Because that was my answer to my question.
Okay, so, sure, let's start with that. Who are those people
That I've clubbed with, that I've been to a club with.
that you said went to the club with Rock Crew?
I almost been to a club with every one of them except the younger one.
Would you name the people here?
Not Rodelius, Brian.
First and last name,
Yes, sir.
to my best ability.
Okay.
Dang, I don't even know his name.
What do you call him?
Quay,
Okay, who else?
Jeffrey
You know his last name?
Williams,
Okay,
Shannon Stillwell,
okay.
and I don't know his name. I don't know his last name, but I call him Quay. And DeMonte,
Kendrick,
yes.
how long have you known Quay?
I'll rule the objection, Mr. Matthews.
Which one?
You know what? I'm glad you asked me that. Tell me who in this courtroom you're referring to as Quay by the clothing that they're wearing. Let's start with the first Quay.
The first Quay is right here with the brown.
Okay. And when you say right here with the brown, is he seated between a man in a purple suit and a man in a blue suit?
Yes.
Okay. And who is the second Quay?
In the back, in the far back.
Your Honor, would the record reflect that the first Quay was identified as Mr. Marquadius Huey?
It shall.
And you said the second Quay is in the back?
Yes.
What is he wearing?
Black.
And where is he seated?
In the back.
Next to whom?
You asked me to say their name? I don't know the
I'm
name.
asking you to describe what they're wearing.
Oh, gentleman in a brown suit and gray suit.
So a gentleman on one side in a brown suit
Yeah.
and a gentleman in another side on a gray suit?
Yes.
Is he seated at the first table, the second table, or the third table?
Second table?
And is he the second person from the end as to your left?
Yes.
Your Honor, would the record reflect that the witness has identified Mr. Cornelius Nichols?
It shall.
Thank you.
Is
So how
Bruce
long
smiling?
have you known Mr. Marquadius Huey, whom you call the first Quay?
I already know of him. He used to come to the Cleveland Avenue Park and play basketball there.
So, what's the answer? How long have you known him?
So the time frame I have problems with, man. I've been telling you this since I've been up to understand.
Do you know if you've known him longer than 5 years?
So can I say, I knew him before I went to prison?
It is the truth.
Yes.
When did you go to prison?
2015.
So you knew him before 2015?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And what about Jeffrey Williams? How long have you known him?
Of course, before I went to prison.
I'm sorry.
I said before I went to prison, but like, probably 3 years before that.
Why did you say, of course, before I went to prison?
No, because I used prison as an example to help me time frame the first person that I referenced to. So I'm going to use prison to help me with the time frame for the second person I referenced to.
And how long have you known Shannon?
I met Shannon in like probably 2014, 2013, probably 2014, 2013.
2014 or 2013?
Yeah.
And what about Diamante?
I actually went to elementary school with him. I didn't see him again until after prison, after elementary school.
So how long has that been? Since what year?
So I went to elementary school with him. I didn't see him again until after I was released from prison. So I really don't know too much of the adult him.
Okay.
I knew him as a child.
Now, did you went to elementary school, were you living on Cleveland Avenue while you were in elementary school?
Yes.
Where was Diamante living during that time?
I'm not sure. I just know we was in third grade together.
Okay. And how long have you known Cornelius members, the one you called a second question?
He's younger than me, so I knew of him to be out and about around the neighborhood, hanging with like some of the more guys younger than me. And when I came home from prison, he was older and like we probably got to really kick it for like a year, and he went back to jail. So I technically know like.
Have a motion.
Come on up, Mr. Harvey.
All right, so they're going to do a sidebar. FFS, I do not think I could handle it if a witness mentions Lil Mike or Quez. Guys, if they bring Gaither back, if they bring Dennis back, or when they call Thorpe, if they ask, if anybody asks about Lil Mike or Quez, like... Oh my gosh. And did you follow any leads on someone named Lil Mike? How about Lil Quez or Quez? Like, come on. Oh my god, that joke will never get old. Thank you so much, FFS, and thank you so much, Indie Love, too, for becoming a member. And Miss Kim's earlier said, hello, everyone. Thank you, Kat, for these recaps. Yeah, they're really good, and I think some of this is even funnier to see a second time with how long we just watched. I think it's been like 4 or 5 minutes of Love trying to overcome Tick, Slug, Trontavious Stephens saying, none of these guys sitting over there are rock crew. They weren't raised on Cleveland. She doesn't like that answer. So now she spent the last 5 minutes trying to establish that they may have been at the club together before. Like, can't go to karaoke with someone without it being a gang affiliation now. Can't do it. Can't go to Taco Tuesday without it being a gang affiliation now. Can't be in the carpool lane with people in your car driving somewhere together unless you want to say you're in a gang now. Just because Love didn't like the answer. Like, come on. Come on. So they're going to sidebar. Okay, I think we're like coming back right there. And buffering courtesy
Crawford.
of Love.
Ladies and gentlemen, just as an instruction to you to disregard the witness's last statement, okay? All right, continue.
Mr. Stevens, using only numbers and not referring to anything else, is it fair to say that you've known Mr. Trontavious Nichols since? I need to read.
I'm going to overrule your objection, sir. Go ahead, madam.
Since around 2015 or a little bit after, without, that's yes or no?
So when you begin with your question and someone says objection, it like throw my whole train of thoughts off.
Okay. So I asked you how long you've known Trontavious Nichols, the person that you refer to as the second Plea. And then I am asking you, is it fair to say that you have known him since around 2015 or a little bit after?
That's
Yes
fair.
or no? That's it?
Yes.
All right. Now, since we also talked about sex, money, murder, to your knowledge, is there anyone in this courtroom who has claimed sex, money, murder?
Thank you so much,
Not to my
Peter.
knowledge.
Everyone show Peter some love in the
Would you
chat
tell
for
the jury
10 gifted
what someone
memberships.
would do in your presence that would make you consider them to be claiming sex, money, murder?
In my presence?
An example of something you would need to see a person do for you to perceive them as claiming sex, money, murder.
I think I'll go by what they tell me.
Okay. Would you also go by hand signs that they do in front of you?
No, because anyone can do that.
Have you seen anyone in the courtroom do sex, money, murder hand signs?
They could have been doing any type of hand signs.
Have you seen anyone in the courtroom doing sex, money, murder hand signs?
They could have been doing any hand signs.
I could have. I'm not certain I understand your answer. Would you clarify whether or not you have seen anyone in the courtroom do hand signs that you recognize to be sex, money, murder hand signs?
So they could have been doing a particular hand sign, and it could have been meaning something totally different from sex, money, murder.
Have you seen any that you recognize as being like sex, money, murder?
I don't recall.
Okay. We talked a little bit before lunch about members of Rock Crew and gang activity. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you have personal knowledge of whether any of your family was selling drugs for Rock Crew?
Do I have personal knowledge that any of my family?
You said that.
Hold on.
Come on up.
Sorry, guys, I'm back. Thank you so much again, Peter Ortiz, for gifting memberships. we are going to skip this sidebar. Oh, look at his facial expression. All right, so we come back around here. It's always hard to tell when they actually start asking questions again with this camera guy because he is zooming around the court. And then also, thank you to Nancy New. Nancy New says, all this time on Rock Crew and Sex Money Murder, and no YSL yet, except, you know, we went to the club sometimes. And how much of this has really changed throughout the course of the rest of the trial? But thank you so much, Nancy. Good to see you. FFS says, in my defense, I'm not in a gang. I often go in carpool lane. I drive around with my alter ego. Can't tell me I'm alone in the car. I was going to ask, I'm like, do you go in the carpool lane by yourself or... But yeah, it's dangerous, man. You're going to be guilty by being in the same vicinity is the new standard. And Toothless Tiger, so good to see you. Hey, Cat, mods, and chat. Great Sunday. You know, I was just watching some of your content. Let me find the exact video I watched because I loved it. Let's see. I know it was a few weeks ago, but I caught it late. Guys, I've really enjoyed having like no court Thursday, Friday. I've gotten so much work done and I've gotten to catch up on so much content. I feel like, you know, when you haven't seen someone for a while, you go into their chat, their haircut looks different, it's grown out or it's cut, or I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen all these faces in so long. It has been a great 3-4 days. Oh, maybe it was a video, not a live stream. That's why I can't find it. Let me see. Guys, so Toothless Tiger did a great video where she discusses some of the stuff that involves Brian Steele, Colette Resnick Steele, his wife, how they're kind of a power couple. And I got to watch that and I really enjoyed it. So this is Toothless channel, right to that video if you guys want to bookmark that. So good to see you. I hope you're having a good Sunday. Let me see. My scrubbing was not good here. I don't know. I think we're back, right? Let's see. And Catherine, the indictment lists all of their also known as. I'll find it for you. Oh, I muted it. So hold on. There we go.
Mr. Stephens, you may answer the question. Did you need me to ask it again? To your knowledge, has any member of your family sold drugs for Rock Crew?
Foundation time.
Yeah, I'll stay in the objections to form. Can you rephrase that, madam?
Yes. When were your brothers members of Rock Crew?
So we all, my brothers, so we all, I'm speaking on behalf of my brothers, we all like gravitated towards the streets at the same time.
So are you able to tell the jury, to any degree of specificity, the time during which your brothers were acting as members of Rock Crew?
I'm sorry, but I told you I'm bad with timing.
It's okay, you don't have to apologize. So, understanding that.
Oh, why am I buffering?
At any time when they were a part of Rock Crew, were your brothers, do you know whether your brothers sold drugs on behalf of Rock Crew?
No.
Is your answer no, you do not know, or no, they never did?
I know my brothers didn't say anything.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I was trying to
Drugs on
load
behalf of Rock Crew.
a slow portal to pull this indictment document, but I'm going to give up for a second.
I'm going to show you what has been marked and already been, and thank you, by the way of your answers. I'm going to show you what has been marked and already been provided to the defense as State's Exhibit. Let me make sure we get it. As State's Exhibit 1U. One, U as in uniform. 2U. 3U. 4U. 5U. 6U. 7U. 8U. 8U Bravo, lowercase b. 9U. And ask you if you recognize the images.
Ms. Love,
Yes, sir.
I just want to just take you.
Sure.
Oh, Your Honor, just look at it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Shout out to Brian Steele. I think they're just looking to see if they want to object to anything.
And ask you if you recognize, without commenting on what they are, because until they are introduced, we can't show the jury, okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to put them in front of you one at a time. Do you recognize that image depicted in the photograph labeled State's Exhibit 1U?
Yes. Yes.
Do you recognize the image depicted in 2U?
Yes.
Do you recognize the image depicted in 3U?
Yes.
Do you recognize the image depicted in 4U?
Yes.
Do you recognize the image depicted in 5U?
Yes.
Do you recognize the image depicted in 6U?
Yes. That.
Just not saying what it is.
Oh no. All right.
Okay, you recognize the image? You recognize the images depicted in 7U?
Yes.
You recognize the image depicted in 8U?
Yes.
Do you recognize the image depicted in 8UB, as in Bravo?
Yes.
And do you recognize the image depicted in 9U?
Yes.
Do you recognize, are each of these images depicting you or part of your body?
Yes.
All right. Or something affiliated with you? Yes?
Yes.
All right. Your Honor, and are they fair and accurate representations of each of the images I've shown you?
You ain't showing me them right now.
These are not the ones
They
that
ain't got nothing to do with me.
They are you. They're smaller pictures.
Oh, all right.
So, are they fair and accurate
Yes.
representations?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state tenders 1U through
Uniform, okay.
1 uniform.
Through 7.
9 uniform, inclusive of the photographs, which include the Bravo designation. So it's,
Which one has a,
that would be,
8 has a uniform Bravo designation? And
Yes, Your Honor.
any other one?
and I believe there is only that one in this set of
Okay.
photographs.
Any objection to states 1 uniform through 9 uniform? Counsel? All right. States 1, uniform, 2, uniform, 3, uniform, 4, uniform, 5, uniform, 6, uniform, 7, uniform, 8, uniform, Bravo, and 9 uniform are admitted and may be published as you see fit.
All right? So,
We're gonna do faster for these exhibits because there's so much pause time between each one. If it's too fast, let me know. We can slow it down.
I'm now publishing State's Exhibit 1 uniform for the jury. Can you see it both in front of you and on the screen above you, whichever one's easiest for you to look at?
Yes.
And is that a photograph of your neck?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury what it is that is written on your neck?
It's a B with a money bag. It's a F, and it's a L for like with a picture of a gun.
Okay, so you said that a B is a money bag?
Yes.
All right. Is there a color around that?
Yes, it's a color around the F.
What color is it?
Red.
All right. And the B, that's the money bag. What is the F formed from?
So the whole.
Wait, before you get into the whole, can you just, let's go step by step. Can we do that? Is that all right with you?
So I gotta explain the first part to get to the second part. You speaking on the second part? So I'm gonna take you from top to the beginning, to the end.
We'll go there. Can we start with the F? Just tell the jury what it's formed from, what it's made of.
Oh, what F this is?
Yes, how it's formed. What is that? Forming the letter F.
It's a F. It's like I want to say it's like a skater brand, like a skateboard brand or something.
Is there a red star in the middle of that F?
Yeah, I got it on it.
Okay. And what is the L made of? Is that a gun that the L is made of?
Yes.
Okay. And you wanted to explain something?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So it's abbreviated for BFL. So I got the money bag first, so it stands for bank first and last. Basically, put your money first and last.
And it does not stand for blood for life?
No. That's why the money bag, I actually got that's why the money bag right there.
Okay. Why is that red star there?
I wanted to add some color to it, and red is the only color that my body will take because of my dark skin.
Okay. I'm going to show you what has been marked as 3 uniform. Can you see what's on the screen for 3 uniform?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury what we're looking at, what part of your body we're looking at in 3 uniform?
The back of my neck.
Okay. And what are the letters printed on the back of your neck that are shown in State's Exhibit 3 uniform?
A K, a A, a N, a T, a F, a I, a G, a H, a T.
And below that, is there another word?
Yes.
What is that word?
F-A-T-E.
Okay. And so what is that sentence, what is that phrase when you put it all together?
Can't fight fate.
Okay. How do you spell can't?
C-A-N-T. I'm through with T.
Why do you have it spelled with a K on the back of your neck?
Because it was my body and I wanted to do what I wanted to do with my body.
And you're entitled. Is there any particular reason you chose to change the letter C to a letter K?
I wanted to seem original, so I initially got the initial quote from a movie called Law Abiding Citizens, and that phrase was an important part in the movie. So, and I didn't want people to think that's where I got it from, so I wanted it to seem original, like I thought of it.
Now, are those letters in ink that are on your neck?
Yes.
Does that wash off?
No.
So it's permanent?
Yes.
Showing you State's 4 uniform. Tell the jury what we're looking at in 4 uniform.
So this is merch from an ongoing show that was going on at the time. It's like stuff that.
Okay, Bompton is hilarious. But I really paused this to say thank you so much to Yolanda, who got 5 new gifted memberships in the chat. Unfortunately, I don't have a Trontavious Stephens emoji for us. I've got to add some new emojis. I should have made one for this stream. But 5 new people can use our custom channel emojis. There's Mario Kart racers. There's some of our loved attorneys and prosecutors in those custom emojis. So thank you so much, Yolanda. You guys take advantage of that now that you are green.
That artists sell to like bring in more income from like the initial show. It's like equivalent to performing, so it's like more income.
So being more specific, is that a red hat?
Yes.
And is that your red hat?
Yes.
Are there letters on the red hat?
Yes.
What letters are on the red hat?
Bompton.
Would you spell that for the court reporter?
B-O-M-P-T-O-N.
Now, is that meant to be Compton, but replacing the C with a B?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you what we've already admitted State's Exhibit 5U uniform. Would you tell the jury what we're looking at in terms of the portions of your body with writing on it in State's 5U? Is that your right hand?
So yes, this is my right hand.
And is there writing on the side of your right hand, the back side of your right hand?
Yes.
Is there a word?
Yes.
And what word is written across your right hand?
Cleveland.
Is it still there?
Yes.
Would you hold it up for the jury?
Sorry.
All right. And are there letters written across your fingers of your right hand?
Yes.
What letters are they?
R-O-C.
All right. And are we looking at your left hand in State's Exhibit 6 uniform?
Yes.
What's written on the back side of your left hand? What word?
Ave, short for Avenue.
And are there letters on
Yes.
your fingers?
Yes.
What letters?
C-R-R, or E-O-W.
Are those letters in permanent ink?
Yes.
And are they meant to signify the gang you mentioned earlier, rock group?
Yes.
All right. Or raised on Cleveland?
Yes.
And 7U, is that just your right and your left hand put together?
Yes.
All right. We're going to stop sharing for a moment. As I transition to September, where it was that you were when State's Exhibit 1 uniform, 2 uniform, 3 uniform, 4 uniform, where those photographs were taken of you?
Yes.
And were those photographs taken during an encounter with law enforcement?
Yes.
And were those law enforcement officers inclusive of Investigator Belknap?
That was a while ago. I'm not even familiar with it.
Okay, fair enough.
I remember the officer who took me to jail because me and him had the last name, and I was joking with him. We got the last name. You can let me go. So that's how I remember that.
All right. Were you being arrested at that time for an incident that occurred on or about October the 11th of 2014?
Yes.
And did that incident involve the armed robbery of a female?
Yes.
And did that armed robbery, were you alleged to have robbed the female of money, a cell phone, and other personal property using a firearm?
Yes, it was $15,000 worth of hair weave.
Okay.
So the allegations and the accusations of the crime were completely false. I went to court, and the judge handled the case, and the charges were dropped.
That was October the 11th of 2014 that that's alleged to occur.
Yes.
All right. Now, I'm going to show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 16U, and without talking about what it is, I need you to just look over it and tell me if you recognize it for the jury. I'm going to let you read each page, but
Can you go back to the front page? Yes. Oh, no, I got it. It's the same thing.
okay, I'm going to put it right here and let you just flip through it without showing to the jury.
Okay.
Page by page. Take your time.
All right.
Yes, sir. Sure. Mr. Stevens, let me hold this up a minute. Your Honor, I'm going to approach Mr. Stevens, okay?
Anything now?
They're gonna approach for that long. Let's make sure. Oh, that's his attorney. So that's Slug's attorney, Trontavious Stephens' attorney, checking everything out.
Did you let me let you finish looking at it? That's who
I recognize.
You did?
Yes.
All right. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the document? Let me back up and ask you. 16U is composed of 5 pages, right?
Yes.
And is your signature on the 5th page?
Yes.
And did you put your signature on the 5th page?
Yes.
Is this a fair and accurate reflection of the document that you put your signature on?
Yes.
All right. Do you see any material alterations, anything different?
No.
All right. State tender State's Exhibit 16U as evidence, 16 uniform as evidence, Your Honor.
All right, any objections to state 16U? All right, state 16U is admitted, may be published as you see fit.
Thank you. And I'm now going to show you State's Exhibit 15 uniform, 15 uniform. And ask you if you recognize 15 uniform as well.
Yes.
All right. And how you recognize 15 uniform without saying what it is.
Slug.
Yes, sir. Sure. Was this a piece of your personal property?
Yes.
And is it a fair and accurate representation of personal property that was taken off you on the date that the other pictures we referenced
Yes.
were taken off?
Yes.
Your Honor, we tender State's Exhibit 15 uniform as evidence.
Any objection? Hearing none, states 15 uniforms admitted, may be published as you see fit.
Thank you, Judge. Would you tell the jury what we're looking at in State's 15 uniform?
So
Just start off with what it is, and then you can talk about anything else you want, okay?
it's a red bandana,
All right. Where was this red bandana on your person?
probably in one of my pockets.
Which one?
I don't recall.
Did you routinely wear a red bandana? And why did you say, let me back up and change that question. Why did you say probably in one of your pockets?
Because as you can see, the item is on top of my car. So they was like pulling all type of stuff out of my car. And that actually, if I'm not mistaken, that has the same words as the other one on the front. It was also merch. And it was like, it went together because that was the, what's the word I'm looking for? That was the, what the song that the merch was pushing. Like that's what the song was.
What was the song?
Lifestyle. So that's the theme of the song, basically, the word I'm looking for.
Okay, what was it?
So if I'm not mistaken, the front of it, I think it had like either Rich Gang or probably the same thing.
You need to look at it again.
Yeah, you can't see it because it's laying on. I mean, you can't flip. There's images in here.
Okay,
Right.
so you're saying part of what we see is not.
Right. So
Part of what we
it
can't.
had words on it. It was also tour merch.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's your red card that's laying on, is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there something to the left of that red bandana?
Yes.
What is it?
All right. Money in the form of dollar bills.
Okay, is that your money?
Yes.
All right. How did you make that money? Do you remember?
That was like probably $20. I probably asked somebody to borrow it or something, I don't know.
Okay. And who were or was the artist who did Lifestyle?
Jeffrey?
Jeffrey Williams?
Yes.
In the courtroom today?
Yes.
What is the theme of the song Lifestyle? You said that Bompton and the red bandana and all that.
Yes.
What was the theme?
So, the colors for initial, like, Rich Gang collaboration was black and red. So, that's where the theme came from.
Okay.
So, by him collabing with Rich Gang, they sought to it that the colors be presented with the song, the theme, the image he was trying to present.
Was the red meant to stand for anything in particular?
Nah, it was just the theme, the color of the thing. I think the album cover at that time was like that color or something.
Was the red in any way indicative of the blood gang?
Indicative, I'm sorry.
Was it meant to stand for, represent?
Not from my understanding.
So you don't, that had nothing to do with sex, money, murder, or blood?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, your legal name is Trontavious Stephens. What's your whole name? Trontavious, what's your middle name?
Kendall?
Kendall. Are you also called Tick?
Yes.
And how is that spelled?
T-I-C-K?
All right. Are you also called Slug?
Yes.
How is that spelled?
S-L-U-G?
Have you ever had the Instagram handle original_slime_slug?
Yes.
All right. And how long have you had that handle? Do you know since what year approximately?
How long did I have him?
Did you have it in 2014?
I'm trying to think because I actually lost that page when I went to prison because of I ain't had no phone or anything.
Prior to 2015, is it fair to say you had that handle?
Prior to 2015, yes.
Okay. And are you familiar with a handle Thug Plea?
Yes.
How are you familiar with that handle? Whose handle is that?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
I think that's like, yeah. Yeah.
Jeffrey who?
Williams.
Okay. The same Jeffrey Williams in the courtroom today?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what I marked as 10 uniform, 10 uniform, Bravo, lowercase Bravo, 11 uniform, Bravo, 12 uniform, and ask you if you recognize the images depicted in first starting with 10 uniform.
Yes.
10 uniform, Bravo, is that your face? Your
Yes.
person?
Yes.
And you don't need reading glasses, do you? Because I'm gonna-
No.
Okay. All right. Can you see, without talking to the jury, do you see
Yes.
your Instagram handle?
Yes.
And do you see the Instagram handle that you referenced a minute ago as well?
Yes.
All right. Are these fair and accurate images so far?
Yes.
All right. What about 11 uniform? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
All right. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the people who have been photographed in 11 uniform? Is this a fair
Oh, yes.
copy of the picture?
Yeah.
All right. And showing you 11 uniform Bravo. Do you recognize the Instagram handle on 11 uniform Bravo?
Yes.
Is that yours?
Yes.
All right. So is this a fair and accurate reflection of 11 uniform Bravo?
Yes.
Showing you 12 uniform. Do you recognize 12 uniform?
Yes.
All right. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the folks that are depicted inside?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state tended at this time 10 uniform Bravo, 11 uniform Bravo, and 12 uniform.
Want to think about your honor?
Yes, sir.
Defense is gonna look.
And just for clarity, this is each of those that I have provided.
Yeah, just want to see that.
Wow. 2014.
Of the
Oops, went a
young
little
lady on
far.
October the 11th, 2014. Do you recall having a conversation with the detective?
Yes.
And do you recall talking to them about the tattoos that are on your body?
No. Had been a while. 2014, that was 10 years ago. I don't recall.
All right. No, but you better than me. I forgot it was 2014, 2024.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Haha,
do
so
you recall
funny, Miss
them
Love,
asking
so
you
relatable.
what rock crew stood for?
Again, that was 10 years ago.
Do you recall telling them that you were a member of a gang called Rock Group?
I'm still gonna go with the time frame.
Understanding the time frame. And showing you as well 16 uniform. On page,
Did you, was I supposed to be reading what you just told me?
not yet.
Oh.
On page 3 of 16 uniform. Would you read number 5? Just read what it says.
When asked, no?
Yes, please.
When asked by law enforcement about defendant's YSL and Rock Crew tattoo, defendant truthfully advised law enforcement that defendant is a member of a gang called Rock Crew, but their group is no longer going by that name and now goes by YSL, which originally stood for Young Slime.
Okay.
Can I explain?
I just needed you to read that, and we'll talk about, let me ask the questions, and we can get into that further.
And now remember, this is a great example of, the way trials work. So this is the state's witness. They get to ask questions first through direct examination. And unlike with Woody, they never asked to treat, maybe they do, and I forgot, but so far, to my recollection, at this point in time, on day 13, they have not asked to treat him as a hostile witness. So they're not supposed to ask leading questions where the answer is kind of couched within the question to kind of help prompt an answer. You can use leading questions on cross-examination. Now, what Love is doing here is all of the answers that she wants to get, that maybe she tried to get Trontavious Stephens to explain to the jury on his own. Now she's relying on this signed plea agreement where he initialed line by line, went down the line to say, in exchange for this reduced sentence, blah, 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 you agree to testify truthfully to these specific facts while you're on the stand when we call you to the stand. So now she's using this as her tool to get it in front of the jury. And it's probably going to sound crazy, but by the time the defense gets their chance to cross-examine, they're going to come up here and they're going to counter this. Did you sign this because you had been held in jail for 8 months already and nobody was giving you a bond hearing? You have family, you have a kid, you have kids to take care of, right? You're at risk of losing your job, right? So questions like this, I would think it's a great example of how it can look kind of bad when it's the state's witness. But then when the defense gets their chance, they get to push back and counter the point that's being made here.
Okay. I think if the question called for an explanation, you get this one.
Your Honor, the question didn't call for an explanation.
It didn't. You can follow up later on that, but so.
All right. And Mr.
Objection on that same topic.
Basis?
Yes, Your Honor. I think the witness should be allowed, he was asked whether or not that was his statement.
No, Your Honor.
That was written. The paragraph that was asked to be read was a paragraph that he read that is his statement. So I think he should be.
What's the basis of your objection?
He should be allowed to complete his testimony on that topic.
I'm going to overrule your objection. You both counsel are apt to, when your examination time comes, to complete that, okay? All right.
I'm going to now show you page 2 of what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 16 uniform. And I'm going to ask you to read number 1 under the heading Defendant's Factual Acknowledgments.
They're going to read more of these factual acknowledgments. This is how she's going to present this to the jury, which is really, I have problems with the way that this plea agreement is written, but it's an effective tool. Say, for example, we thought the prosecution was acting with integrity. Reading a document like this that someone signed they swore off on it under penalty of perjury, whatever. Basically, if he were to not follow through with his terms of this agreement, they could revoke the reduced sentence they gave him and then say, you know what, we're actually you might have to do some time. So it's a really effective tool for prosecutors to boost the credibility of their witness. That's important to read. I just ended the poll that we made. Do you think Slug/Trontavious Stephens was ex parte'd? And 76% say yes, 15% say not sure, and 7% say no. So most of you, majority, think that yes, he at some point in time was brought in with an ex parte. And I also, maybe not even an ex parte, but it seems like Love was trying to speak with him without an attorney. Which that's not ex parte if the court isn't present, right? If the judge isn't there. But in addition to maybe there was an ex parte for this witness at some point, there could have also been major attempts, frequent attempts, not just yesterday before he actually took the stand, but between these other days. He comes back on the stand for through the 20th, so 7 more days. So any one of those days, Love could continue to try to reach out to him. So interesting poll results there, you guys. And then I'm loving, Yadat says here, he definitely was ex parte because he eventually started to dress up and he was more cooperative in answering questions more truthfully, not trying to finesse. And I think we will see some of the differences. We will also see him state, I think Trontavious Stephens does try to explain on certain days, like, I worked all night. I didn't get any sleep. Today, day 13, he worked late. He didn't get much sleep. So I think there's also some impact on, not to use a Woody quote, but depends on how I feel when I wake up, you know. You work a long shift. I think he says CDL, driving. That's pretty tiring. And then you got to come in here and sit here all day listening to Love, sitting in a courtroom. They say it's cold up here. And you know you probably got to go work and do another shift after this. Like, that could affect your mood, your demeanor a little bit. But yeah. And thank you so much again. I pulled these up on the screen. But yeah, that earlier had said that FFS is riding around with Mike and Quez in the carpool lane. That's the top 3 Cat Nat Williams RICO chat gang members. Very funny. I saw FFS had responded to you. And then Ike had said, look guys, if you squeeze the toothpaste from the bottom and not the middle like those West End Colgate punks, you're part of my crew, the Wintergreen Mint crew. So be careful, because any type of association or commonality, according to the state of Georgia in this case, could mean you are affiliated with a gang. Thank you so much for your support, everybody. Now let's see, she's going to go line by line through this plea agreement.
Would you please read that verbatim?
Young Slime Life, aka YSL, is an organization made up of 3 or more members or associates who share common identifiers that include but are not limited to colors, hand signals, and terminology, who have committed crimes intended to increase the notoriety, street credibility, and reputation of YSL.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor. Love, did you admit 16 you? When did you do that?
Your Honor,
I don't think you did. I think it's been shown to witness, but it hasn't been tendered as of yet. I could be wrong. I mean,
16 years.
16 uniform. Yes, ma'am. When was it admitted, Christina? Today? Okay, all right, I'm sorry, madam. Continue then. I apologize.
Mr. Stephens, and when you testified earlier in identifying 16 uniform and spoke about your signature, would you please tell the jury what date it is that you signed 16 uniform?
December 29th, 2022.
Okay. Now, were you forced to sign 16 uniform?
No. Persuaded, but not forced.
You were persuaded.
Yeah.
So are you stating now under oath that you did not sign 16
Yes,
uniform freely and voluntarily?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You signed it freely and voluntarily?
Yes.
And you understood what you were signing? Did you understand what you were signing? It's a better question.
So, the state's initial offer with this plea was on the 27th.
I need you
I
to.
asked the gentleman to allow to finish the thing.
Yeah,
I asked that he answer and then explain. The answer was affirmative or negative, and he did not answer. So I asked.
You got him on direct, though.
Right.
All right, so, okay, all right. So, I'm gonna sustain the objection. Go ahead and ask him, or let him complete his answer.
Did you understand 16 uniform?
So that was part of my answer. So the state gave my lawyer this plea agreement on the 27th. I was back in court on the 29th. I had 1 day to go over the whole thing. Everyone else who accepted the plea had like a month. I only had 1 day. My initial lawyer withdrew from the case because his wife called.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to my own witness as being
It's not
non-responsive.
responsive, so, sir, answer the question, and then you can explain it, okay? Yes or no, and then answer, and then you can explain
What
it.
was the question again?
Did you understand State's Exhibit 16 uniform when it's placed in front of you?
Yes.
All right. Now, would you please read the very last paragraph of State's Exhibit 16 uniform right above your signature in its entirety?
Trontavious Stephens.
Starting with the word I.
I, Trontavious Stephens, have read and carefully reviewed this agreement. I have reviewed and corrected where necessary for accurate each statement contained in defendant's factual acknowledgement. And I acknowledge the truth and accuracy of each and every statement listed therein. I fully understand this agreement, and I have had an opportunity to discuss this agreement and each of its provisions with my attorney, Ms. Chrissy Gladden. No promises other than those contained in this document have been made to me in furtherance of this agreement. I freely, knowingly, and voluntarily enter this agreement without force, threat, or court.
Coercion?
Coercion, thank you.
You knew what it was, though?
No.
It wasn't explained to you?
Oh, I thought you were asking me about that word.
When you signed this document?
That's so funny to me that, oh, you understand it, and then he can't pronounce a word on it and isn't sure what the word is. Right when and it's coincidental. It could just be reading it tripped me up while I was trying to read the word, but I know what the word means. But it's just hilarious in this moment for him to be like,
Did you go over this document with your attorney?
Yes, but not thoroughly.
Okay. Were you asked by Ms. Hilton whether or not you had had time to, and Ms. Hilton is my co-counsel sitting right here.
I'm sorry, I didn't know your name.
Okay. Were you asked by Ms. Hilton at the time that you put your signature on this document whether you had had enough time to go over this document with your attorney?
Did she ask me that? Yes.
Did you tell her, yes, you had enough time?
Yes.
Did you tell her you needed any more time to go over it with your attorney?
Yes.
You did tell her that?
I told you that, actually. I asked, because one of the defendants you told him that he could come back on Tuesday with his reply, and I asked, can I do the same thing?
Judge, I'm going to object to this as being non-responsive.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask
Yeah,
that.
it's not responsive, so.
I think, respectfully,
Sir, I've ruled, okay? Don't get a comment on what I say, all right? So I'm ruling on it.
I do want to pause here. So, Sia, thank you so much for your super chats. I see that they have the same message, so I want to make sure that you know that they sent through and that you don't think that you're just trying to resend it to make it work. So just wanted to make sure. Thank you so much for your support, but we received it. If your YouTube is being funky, refresh it. I'm not sure there's a way I can refund anything from my end with the super chat, but I wanted to pause, make sure you know that it is coming through. It seems like it might not look like it's going through on your end. But Sia says, great work, Kat. Time for a deep dive into Love and Hilton. And I think that could be a little bit interesting. I mean, I looked at some of their bios, their credentials. They teach classes. They have a CV letter, essentially. They have a resume. I feel like they should be doing better than this. They're not unintelligent. They're not unskilled. I think they're just determined to win this case. And I can't see how some of the things that they are so determined with that they should really have such confidence in, right? So we could look at one of these days, look at their bios again, I'll call them their cheat sheets, their background, where they've worked, their experience, and just get the rundown on that. But to me, it all comes down to their belief, the conviction that they have in their own case here, what they're fighting for. It's so strong, and I just can't make it line up. I cannot make it line up. And Super, I just wanted to make sure exactly, Sia, that we're pausing to make sure you know that your super chat came through. I don't always read super chats as soon as they come in because I don't want to cut off a question, especially if we're watching a trial live when court is actually live. This is a replay, so it's a little different. But I do not want you repeat sending something as a mistake with YouTube giving a glitch. But thank you so much. And Mixed Chick Samantha says, in other words, more knee action from Love. Guys, if you did not watch last week's testimony, if you missed it, we got to find out through some jail calls that Brian Steele introduced while Woody was speaking with a friend over the phone, had some very hilarious things to say about how badly Love, Chief Deputy District Attorney Love, was begging Woody, on her knees, he said, to give her something to work with, tell her something that she could use, and that she actually left an interview with him because she wasn't telling him something that she wanted to hear. Those are his words over the phone call to his friend on a jail call introduced by Brian Steele. So now this has become the thing that we are thinking about when Love tries to talk to a witness.
The answer is non-responsive. Okay? Do you have another independent objection?
Oh, yeah, we can slow it down.
Well, he's non-responsive, so that's clearly a field. So anyways, continue, madam.
Okay, thank
So
you.
you have to answer the question, then you can explain it, okay?
That's understood, Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you inform Ms. Hilton at the time that you signed this document that you needed any more time to discuss this with your attorney?
No.
Did she inform you that if you needed more time, you would be given more time?
No, because I actually asked for more time before even agreeing to it. I asked Miss Chrissy Gladden to ask you because, is this okay with I'm doing? Can I explain? I answered the question first.
Fine.
I'm not being non-responsive. So I asked Miss Chrissy because I overheard you tell the defendant sitting next to me that he can come back on Tuesday with his answer that he has to because it was the weekend, if I'm not mistaken, to the best of my knowledge. And I asked if I can do the same thing, and you said no.
So during the time that you were going over this document with, first of all, let me ask you this. Is your testimony that you were given, how much time were you given? When did you find out about this document?
That initial document was given to my attorney on the 27th. I think she told me that yesterday. It was given to her on the 27th.
I'm asking you, is in your testimony that the first time that you saw this document or learned about this document, or even talked to your attorney about this document, was the day you signed it?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I'm telling you the dates. I got it on the 27th, and the 29th was my time to sign.
Did you talk with your attorney about this document when you first learned about it?
On the 27th?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you ask her the questions that you needed to ask her?
Yes.
Did she give you answers?
Yes.
Did you talk to her any more about it on the 28th?
Yes.
And did you talk to her more about it on the 29th?
On the 29th. Yes. Yes.
And during the time that you were going over this document with Ms. Hilton, did you stop and correct Ms. Hilton and ask for clarification and understanding at some certain points?
I think one time I mentioned that I couldn't understand, yes.
And did you, where you
But,
found,
I'm sorry, but that was like just asking her to repeat something one time.
you think it was, your testimony is that you was just asking her to repeat something?
Yeah, I read it last night. You want me?
So let me ask you this, what is that document you have in your hand?
It's my transcript of the guilty plea for the. Want me to keep reading?
I just want, is a transcript of your guilty plea?
Yes.
Did I give that to you?
No.
Did anyone from my office give that to you?
My lawyer gave it to me yesterday.
Did you go over that document with Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams?
No.
All right. Did you go over that document with your attorney?
No.
All right. So you just, did you ask her for that document?
We were supposed to. Oh, did I ask her?
You
Yes.
asked her. Why did you ask her for that document?
So I can go over it. Because when you walk past me in the hallway, that's what you stated that me and you was going to go over by me coming with you. So I took the initiative to ask my attorney to get me a copy of it so I can go over with her.
Is it your testimony that I told you we were going to go over your transcript?
Yesterday you said, when we were walking past, you said, come here, we're going to go over the questions.
That I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
So why did you ask for your transcript?
Because
I'll stand the objection.
When I never asked you about a transcript, what prompted you to ask for a transcript?
Because you said questions, and these were the only question that I was asked with my plea agreement.
Did I ask you or tell you that I wanted to talk with you about the things I wanted to ask you on the stand?
You said I have some questions for you, so yes.
Now, you said that in your plea agreement, in your factual acknowledgement, you said some other things. So let me ask you to read section 2 under defendant's factual acknowledgements, verbatim.
Defendant is one of the founding members of Young Slug Life.
And being that you were the defendant signing this, were you one of the founding members of Young Slime Life?
Yes.
And Young Slime Life, as you noted here, is a gang.
Yes.
And would you also read section 3 under defendant's factual acknowledgements? Verbatim.
Number 3.
Yes.
Defendant committed aggravated assault as alleged in Act 1 by brandishing a gun at an undercover police officer that was surveilling a vehicle that was hijacked from a woman. Can I explain?
Sure. What is it that you want to explain first? Tell me that. Because I just asked you to read this verbatim.
That's not a question that was stated.
Your Honor.
I sustain the issue as to commentary. Okay, just go ahead and continue. Next question.
Okay, thanks. All right. So, Mr. Stephens, you
Excuse me, can I say something? Can I?
just a second.
All right.
Would you also read section 7, 8, and 9, verbatim, of 16 uniform?
8,
7, yep.
The statements defendant made to police about Rock Crew and YSL as reflected in section 3 and section 4 above are true and accurate.
And what about number 8?
Defendant has been accused of and arrested for robbing women.
All right, and number 9?
Defendant is the person referred to as Tick in the song by Young Thug entitled Ooh. In the verse, she getting robbed by Tick.
Okay. Now, do you know when it was that that particular song was released?
I'm bad with timing.
I'm going to now show you what's already been exhibited as State's Exhibit 2 uniform, and I'm going to publish it for the jury, y'all. So I'm showing you 2 uniforms.
Helping that, right?
All right. Would you tell the jury
Mr.
what
Chair, do you have an
is-
objection, sir?
I had 2 uniforms.
It's been admitted already. 2 uniform? Yeah. Any further inquiry? Okay, all right, go ahead, madam.
Would you tell the jury what it is that we are looking at in 2 uniform that's displayed on the screen?
Yes, it's a tattoo.
Is that permanent ink?
That's permanent ink.
All right, and tell the jury what letters are displayed on State's Exhibit 2 uniform. It's attached, backing up.
I just loaded a Tay Biz video, so I just saw, we're gonna show it. So, Tay Biz is going to be premiering a video in like 45 minutes. I'm thinking in terms of Trontavious Stephens' time. I'm not good at calculating time. But he's going to be talking about how the contractors for the Rice Street Jail, Fulton County Jail, said, you didn't pay us, we're out. And they owe like $1 million. So Tay Biz, I just saw, is going to be dropping this. So, and I'm not kidding you guys, Tay Biz will become one of your favorite channels. Great voice, hilarious commentary, just so good. I had so much fun hanging out. I don't even know what night it was. But we came up with like 10 inside jokes with the chat that night. It was a good time. So make sure you, if you don't care about the Fulton County Jail story, make sure you subscribe. He recently just hit 1,000 subs and is growing quickly, and I expect him to keep on growing. And I am a huge, 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 huge fan. So, without further ado, we will get back to more questions about tattoos from Adrian Love.
Uniform.
Me.
All right. And what part of your body is depicted in State's 2 uniform? Is that the left side of your abdomen?
Left side of my abdomen.
All right.
Yes.
And are there letters written on the left side of your abdomen?
Yes.
Are they still there?
Yes.
Is that permanent ink?
Yes.
Would you tell the jury what the letters that I'm pointing to are? There we go. Those.
A Y, a S, and a L.
All right. And are they colored any particular color?
Yes.
What are they colored?
Red.
And is there a sign or anything else above the Y, the S, and the L?
Yes.
What is that?
Corvettes. Car symbol.
Okay. Now, is there a sign to or a picture to the left? And in particular here. What is this?
A marijuana plant.
All right. And below that, what is depicted at the bottom next to the L?
A wad of money.
Okay. Now, are there
Happy
other
about that
words on
wad of
the lower
money.
part of your app?
Yes.
And what is that word?
Love.
And how is the word love spelled out? What pictures are used to spell love? What is the L spelled with?
The L is a gun,
What is the O spelled with?
a grenade,
What is the V spelled with?
2 knives,
And what is the E spelled with?
3 bullets.
All right.
Okay, if that was Woody, he would have been like, I don't recall.
All right. I'm going to now show you. State Exhibit 8 uniform. And 8 uniform 2, Bravo. Go ahead. Who is it that is depicted in State's Exhibit 8 uniform?
Me.
And what part of your body is depicted in State's 8 uniform?
Lower right.
Okay.
Stomach.
The lower right part of your stomach?
Yeah.
All right. And is that writing on the lower right part of your stomach still on the lower right part of your stomach?
Yes.
All right. What letters are on the lower right part of your stomach as depicted in 8 uniform?
The letters are a L, a I, a M, and an E.
Is there another letter in front of the L?
You would call that a letter?
You don't?
No, that's a snake.
Oh, okay. So what is it that's depicted on your stomach? What word is it?
So I substituted the initial S to spell slime with a snake.
Okay, so it's meant to spell slime.
Yes.
And the word slime, what does it mean?
That's a good question. So the S is for slug, the L is for love, the I is for I, the M is for me, and the E for everything.
So,
Oh, this is one of the best parts. No, he just had to spell what slime means. Love does not buy his explanation. Put that in your pocket for when we get to cross-exam.
that is the only thing that slime meant to you when you had that tattoo put on your body.
Yes, ma'am, that's what it means to me. That's what that tattoo means to me.
Is slime ever used in any other kind of way? As by you or any of the people that...
Like breaking it down? Like breaking it down how I did?
No, like the meaning of the word slime.
No, just slime.
Is slime a word used by YSL members?
Yes.
All right. And were you one of the founding members of YSL?
Yes.
All right. Now, who were the other founding members?
Walter Murphy, and Jeffrey Williams.
And in showing you 10 uniform on the screen. Who is that person depicted in 10 uniform?
That's me.
All right. And is that something around your neck?
Yes.
What is that?
It's a YSL chain.
All right. And showing you 10 uniform, Bravo. All right? I'm gonna put it in front of you so you can see more clearly. It's 10 uniform Bravo an Instagram post.
Yes.
Are you tagged in that Instagram post?
Yes.
And who is it that tagged you in the Instagram post? Who is the photo by?
Thug 31.
Say it out loud.
Thug 31.
Thug 31?
Yes.
What date was the Instagram post made?
Just a bit.
Looking underneath the word ID, next to the word taken, what date is indicated? Can you see that?
Yeah, but so
Just read the numbers as they appear.
2014, 10, 12.
Okay? Is that meant to depict October the 12th of 2014?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the day after you are alleged to have robbed the young lady at gunpoint?
That is?
I'm asking you.
I don't know. I asked my lawyer yesterday when that date was.
Now,
Hey, I guess so.
the text in State's Exhibit 10 Uniform Bravo, would you read what the text is? next to the word text, can you see it on the screen or do you need me to bring it up?
Yes.
All right. What is that text?
Him and I. So I'm
Starting actually
I see what's up.
right here.
So it's a hashtag,
Uh-huh.
a Y, S and a L, a hashtag slime life, a hashtag hey baby, at original slime slug, which is me.
Uh-huh.
Him and I are the founders of YSL. So brilliant. Photo by 3031.
All right. And do you have a tattoo with the word Haiti on your leg?
Yes.
All right. And is that in permanent ink?
Yes.
And original slime, what was that meant to denote?
Basically, I was there when it began.
So when did it begin?
Them dates. Them dates.
You don't have to be precise. You can talk about generally. When did it begin? We know the picture was in 2014. Is that fair? Had to be before then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pictures in
So
2014.
generally, what year?
Probably a year or two prior. I can't recall the exact date.
And where is it that, since you were able to name the other founders, where is it that you all were when you all founded this group?
That's more than 10 years. I don't know. I'm sorry. I ain't being non-responsible. I don't recall.
And since you're one of the original founders, would you tell the jury just how it came about?
So at the time, we was going through like a phase with the whole rock crew gang ordeal. And decided that wasn't the approach we wanted to take anymore. So the rock crew gang was known for like committing crimes and like being a gang. We was trying to take a different approach. We had a passion for music. We often listened to music, loved music. So we said, hey, we're gonna change the narrative and try to do something positive by creating a music organization.
A music organization.
Yeah.
Is not happy with these answers.
I mean, go back to that statement I made to those detectives. I wasn't telling them, hey, is this being irresponsible? I mean, so I wasn't telling them, hey, I'm not committing crimes under the name Rock Crew, or gangbang up under the name Rock Crew no more. I'm committing crimes upon the YSL, and gangbang upon the YSL. That wasn't my direction with the statement I was making. I was trying to tell them, hey, kind of trying to put that Rock Crew narrative behind me and switch it up to something positive. And at that time, it was like a window open for us to like do music. So that's the approach. In that initial statement, I said, hey, we're no longer going by that. We got a music situation going on, stand for Young Slime Life. We even go by saying that it's young, successful living, trying to put the whole Rock Crew gangbanging narrative behind us and take a different approach.
Now, there's two reasons that Love hates this. She thought she had him on lock to come up here and say YSL was some gangbanging. But what is he doing? Look at his facial expression that this is paused on. He's like, ha. He's like, I just clarified the mess out of that. When he's giving this description, he tried to politely say, I can explain, I'm not being non-responsive, right? Then he turns and looks and engages with the jury. Now, this is technically the state's witness. They're the ones that called him. This is direct examination. When a witness is favorable, if they had a chance to prep with him He said that he turned down meeting with Love because she tried to meet with him when he didn't have a lawyer around. But typically, the prosecutor's gonna, try to prep you. And it's strategic, it's helpful if you have a credible witness and they're able to engage appropriately, not too much, not too little, not in a creepy, starey way with the jury. And he's looked over at the jury a few times here and there. But with this specific answer, he turns his whole body and explains it to them calmly, in simple terms, with an answer that Love hates. It's just so great to watch.
Let's break that apart a little bit, okay? You said, you referenced the whole rock crew gang ordeal. What ordeal?
Cornea of the jury.
Being known for rock crew and gangbanging and committing crimes.
And that was all three founders' intent to put that whole rock crew gang ordeal behind you?
Some of the founders wasn't even a part of the rock crew whole thing. That was their way of grasping me, saying, hey, let's do something different. Why you got the chance to?
You mentioned the statement that you gave to the detectives. I am going to show you State's uniform once more and ask you to read number 6 under defendant's factual acknowledgments on page 3. Would you read it verbatim?
Defendants advised law enforcement that YSL originally stood for Young Slime Life, but the group began calling themselves Young Successful Lifestyle after Jeffrey Williams, a.k.a. Young Thug, signed a record deal.
Okay.
That's what I just...
So, why did you change the name after he signed the record deal?
So, Young Slime Life sounded more suitable to like listening ears. I mean, truth be told, that's what people want to hear. And once you get in and kick the door down, you can like change the situation on how people look at you. But initially, they won't. You don't sound like. But once you, yeah.
Okay, I think he is such a sympathetic witness, personally. I think with Woody, you had moments where he was sympathetic and other moments where even if you understood where he was coming from, you're like, well, I wouldn't do all that. But I think Trontavious Stephens is just even-headed, very sympathetic. Looking over at the jury and being able to explain, like, we're trying to change the perception. Once you finally make it, you can break the stereotype. You can break the expectation. He even said the phrase, once you kick the door down or break the door down. He's using visuals to explain his story. So not only is he sympathetic, but he's really good at using story and language to describe what he's trying to say, all while looking right at the jury. While he's explaining, Young Thug doesn't want to brand himself once he actually gets signed and people could be looking up to him as a role model potentially. He wanted to change his name for that reason. Whereas, Love is trying to make it some nefarious thing where, if we were false claiming and trying to use certain imagery for a come up to make our first couple of songs and get noticed, and then we change that once we make it through, Love was trying to say that that was nefarious, some type of cleanup of gang activity, which maybe it was. Maybe it was. But here, I think his explanation is so sincere that I can see a jury believing it.
You said they want Young Slime Life. What about Young Slime Life was it that you believed people wanted?
Ms. I'm sorry. Ms. Love, can we put a pin in that before he answers that question and let our jury have a comfort break?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and take a comfort break and let's come back for 4 o'clock, okay? And we'll see where the day leads us at that point in time. All right, all rise.
All right, so they're going to take a break and some quick questions. So he was born in 1993. So depending on when his birthday is, he's like 30, 31. I don't believe he's gotten roped up in anything. He had a reduced sentence. He was facing 5 to 20 based on one count, the RICO. And with his plea deal, he got a reduced sentence, 10 years probation with 2 years time served as of December 29th, 2022. So he's got like 7 years left to whatever. And I don't know if there's a stipulation where that can be shortened. But yeah. So yeah, she keeps hanging this plea deal over his head and is frustrated because this one line that you signed off on, you initialed on your plea deal, that you're going to state that YSL changed what the acronym stood for at some point after Jeffrey Williams got signed to a major record label. Well, Trontavious Stephens asked for permission to explain. That's why he was concerned about being non-responsive. He was just trying to explain. He got permission and he explained why that change happened. Love didn't want him to be able to say all that. She just wanted to say they changed it because it was incriminating, not because it was going from negative or uninspiring or a bad influence when someone took a position where they could become a mentor to lots of people all over, I would say, not just the country, not just Atlanta, not just Georgia, not just the country, but worldwide. He is a worldwide recording artist now. So, and Love did not want him to make that explanation, of course, because we're here to win and not actually get to the truth of the matter. So they have a long recess, they do a comfort break. Oh my god, maybe they just went into lunch. No, actually this was not lunch because this was 2 parts. So that was a break for hour 30. They took like a 40-minute comfort break here. We get back in. And then thank you so much again, by the way. This is so sweet of you, Sia. So sorry for the previous spelling errors. I was speed chatting and spell check did you dirty, but that you broke up the super chats deliberately. That's really, really sweet of you. That's $60. And seriously, you don't need to super chat to correct a typo. But super, super sweet of you. Thank you so much for supporting the stream today. And Ted, you're right. Glad to see you missed us and had to come back and do a live over the weekend. Yeah, you know, I got a lot of work done Thursday, Friday. Yesterday I was working all day too. Working and lurking. Hung out with DWC a bit. And Potentially Criminal. And Dali Talk, Salvador Dali, if you guys watched the Wade Wilson case. That guy that has the face tattoos in Florida, he got the death penalty sentencing. Dolly's been replaying his jail calls with all these different boos. It's crazy, you guys. He's got like 2 different chicks and then a guy. And I think there's more, but these are like the prominent ones that call him day in and day out while he's in jail. They're paying, or prison, they're paying for the minutes. And like the first thing he says to them on all the calls is like, you can go put money on my books. So he's playing with all these jail prison boos. He's playing boo to all these people that are calling him and putting money on his books. And let me get his channel link. I always have trouble finding it. That's another thing I was watching yesterday though. Like, and you can understand him. These jail calls are very easy and kind of hilarious to understand. Let's see if we can get to his channel. Yeah, every time I search for Dali Talks, I get not his channel. But it's really been great to do that for the last 3 days. And then, yes, I missed you guys. So here I am. Here I am back again. And I don't know if you guys paid attention to that Wade Wilson case. He's been convicted and sentenced. But just watching these messages obtained through public records, here are some ways how you can watch Wade's jail calls, prison calls. It shouldn't be entertaining, but it is. Like, it's wild. The guy mirror matches, he changes his personality to match the person he's speaking to. Like, he would be great in sales. He never had to become a murderer. He could have had a whole life set out ahead of him just by getting into sales because he can match someone's personality, hook them in, and rope them in. They're trying to talk to him and he's like, are you in the car right now walking so you can go put money on my books? Okay, well go do that if you want to keep talking to me. And they're just with it. They just go with it. So it's been blowing my mind watching that. You can check that out over on Dali Talks channel. Very, very, thank you so much, Casper. Thank you so much. Man, that's crazy. It's just crazy stuff. in the main, oh, is this where the calls are coming from? Okay, so phone calls from prison. I hope that comes up. Okay. Phone calls. Okay, so, okay, yeah, I see this. Okay, so we're also going to share a second channel that I think does a bunch of cases where there's public records requests for jail calls that you can listen in for kind of high profile cases. So here is phone calls from prison. And to be clear, if this might be where Dolly's getting them from, but man, that guy, Sal, he certainly does a ton of public records requests. He did that with the Rush trial and has a bunch of exhibits that we didn't get to see because the trial was nipped in the bud. So really interesting exhibits if you're into that kind of stuff over on that channel. And he's a guy, he's pretty soft spoken, so he'll do voice impressions that are hilarious for each of the different characters too. Okay, yeah, so I guess that is what he's using, but he does do a lot of records requests as well. And then let's see, we get back from this comfort break here. And Shri is sneaking in. Thanks for becoming a member, Shri. And then Pierre had said, I don't recall it was a trained statement. You guys peeped that so quickly. As soon as he said that, you guys were like, he said, I don't recall. Sounds like ex parte meeting. It is a very... Now, to be clear, guys, if I was ever a witness in a trial, because I watch so much of this stuff, I think saying, I don't recall, might come naturally to me, even though I think naturally I would want to say I don't remember. Put on the witness stand, the phrase I don't recall might be so ingrained in my head by now that that answer might come out of me, whether or not anybody actually prepped me. So just keep that in mind, in this age of YouTube trial watching. There might come a time where I don't recall won't seem like such a trained statement. It will seem more like regular vernacular because there's so many people that watch these live trials. Just like how people say unaliving to make sure we're not triggering certain social platform triggers and YouTube triggers. And then Mixed Chick Samantha, this had me laughing when you said it. YSL really means you suck, love. Oh, man. And then Granddad Gaming, hold on. What's your channel about? Do you have a channel? Shout out to gamers. I just bought a boxed set Super Nintendo Super Metroid. So excited to have it. I watched my brother play randomizer speedruns of Super Metroid a lot. He's so good at it. So I decided, it's been a while. I am going to grab this game and I'm going to play that probably tomorrow. Play some Nintendo and treat it as a true day off. But Granddad Gaming says, I swiped under my nose yesterday while suffering from a cold, and now I'm worried about being RICO'd. Does Love, etc. prosecute in the UK? I think you might be in the clear from Adrian Love. But I don't know if you guys have something similar to this RICO thing. Like, surely you guys have something similar. I don't know if it'd be called racketeering or something else. God, Casper, you're so good. Look at this. I'm going to go to my own chat so I can click. We can't click links in StreamYard. The chat that it gives me, I can't click it. But look how good Casper is grabbing this link. Shout out to the gamers. Shout out to the gamers, man. Oh, Twitch. Okay. Well, I'm on Twitch every once in a while. Rarely, but once in a while. Usually playing a zombie game or Ark, so State of Decay or Ark. But I pop over there once in a while. Heck yeah, Super Mario. I just played, well, I had to cook, I was waiting for food to cook. I was playing Super Mario World. So that was good. That was a good time yesterday. But yeah, let's see. Okay, so you guys call it OCGS, Organized Crime Groups. Okay, so you guys have your own acronym that we gotta watch out for. So there you go. Not sure Love will come for you for RICO, but what do they call it? Do they call it prosecutor in, like, UK courts? I know, like, barrister for lawyer. Is there, like, a synonym for prosecutor? Whoever they are, that's going to be who comes for you. The OCGS prosecutor equivalent. There you go. And thank you so much again, Casper. You are on it. I appreciate you so much for being quick with the links. And then, did I fast forward past the break already? All right, we are good to restart. And there wasn't much left of this day. Yeah, we do get a little more testimony from him, but then they mostly sidebar. So we are almost done with day 13. Solicitor, maybe. Crown barrister.
Bro, you can warm up. Yeah. It didn't last long. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to go just to let you know, probably about a little less than an hour or thereabouts, and then we'll recess for the day, and I'll go ahead and give you instructions about tomorrow and the day after, okay? All right, so we're going to continue with the examination of Mr. Stephens. So go right ahead, Ms. Love.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Stephens, do you need anything? Are you okay?
I'm okay.
All right. So before we took the recess, you talked about the people wanting, or young slime life being more of what the people wanted. Would you explain what you meant by that?
So the image we felt like we needed to portray was the rough and rugged in order to like grasp the attention of the listeners, because that's what it seems like was selling at the time.
And how was it that you all portrayed rough and rugged to the listeners through the name Young Slime Life?
So on the image that you displayed, it was on my tattoos. It was like a Corvette symbol, a marijuana symbol, a money symbol. That was all in like representation of the approach, you know, the lifestyle. That's what was up under and that was the name of the song, what the lifestyle is about. And that's what we're going with.
So the lifestyle was about violence? Is that what you're saying?
No, I never said that.
Okay. Go ahead and help me understand how your tattoos and those symbols that are on your body were meant to display a rough and rugged image to listeners.
Fast cars, smoking weed, money. Those are like characteristics of being a street dude.
And was all of this before you all actually did anything to music? Or was this, help me understand, when you were talking it out, what was the conversation?
I'm sorry.
When you all came up with the name Young Slime Life, why did you choose Young Slime Life?
Like I said earlier, music was a passion, and that's what one of our like inspirations to do music. That's what he was rapping about. So I'm talking about Lil Wayne.
Okay, so it came from Lil Wayne, the word slime.
I mean, that's what we got familiar with. That's where we heard it from.
And is that why you all call yourselves Young Slime Life?
Yes, because of the like impact, all the movies we seen on him, the music we heard from him.
And based on what you heard and saw from him and everything else, what is slime? What was slime meant to represent for you all when you all put it in your name?
I don't know, but I just knew he was the coolest dude in the world to me. So really wanted to like do what he was doing.
Why not call yourself Lil Wayne like? Just curious.
Because he had already made a name for himself using that. So maybe if we say what he's saying, we can get his attention. That was so big to us, living and moving how he was moving.
Were you at his show when he performed here in 2015 at the compound?
Yes,
How many of were there other YSL members that showed up at that show?
yes.
How many of you all would you say showed up at that show?
So, I'm not being irresponsible, but this particular day was my birthday. So everyone was like trying to go out and have a good time and help me celebrate.
Okay. And so did you all go to the beginning of the show?
No,
So did you all show up after the show was over?
no, we actually made it like while the club. It wasn't really a show.
At the compound?
Yeah, it wasn't a show. It was him being there.
Okay. And so was Jimmy Winfrey with you all?
Yes,
And so you all came together like all as one?
yes.
All right. And so why did you all bring guns to Lil Wayne's show at the compound in 2015 if he was you all's idol?
I didn't have a gun. I don't know anything about a gun. I don't know nothing about that whole situation. I was there to enjoy myself, have a good time. It was my birthday.
What whole situation?
The situation with Lil Wayne.
And what was the situation that you're referring to?
So his tour bus was allegedly shot up. Well, not allegedly, it was shot up.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And so you didn't have anything to do with that situation. Why did you distinguish yourself from everybody else? You said, I didn't have anything to do with that situation.
Yeah, my intention on going out tonight was having a good time. We were just club hopping, smoking weed and drinking liquor and celebrating.
But were you aware that multiple members of the people that you came to the compound with were carrying
We're
guns?
laughing.
I didn't see anyone with no gun. I drove my own car.
Okay.
There were no guns in my car.
Okay.
She sounds horrible here. Listen to the way she's laughing. Let's go back like 25, 30 seconds. Listen to the way she's like, oh, really? Are you sure?
With that situation, why did you distinguish yourself from everybody else? You said, I didn't have anything to do with that situation.
Yeah, my intention on going out tonight was having a good time. We were just club hopping, smoking weed and drinking liquor and celebrating.
But were you aware that multiple members of the people that you came to the compound with were carrying guns?
I didn't see anyone with no gun. I drove my own car.
Okay.
There were no guns in my car.
Okay. Now, do you remember what time you all got to the compound?
No.
And did you ever even go inside the compound?
Yes.
How long did you stay inside?
Probably, I don't know. That was 3 years back too old. It wasn't too long.
Was it
Probably half an hour. Probably more like half an hour.
half an hour?
Yeah.
Was that at the end or at the middle or at the beginning of his present state?
So when an artist that big, you really don't get a chance to see them. It's about being in the same facility as vicinity, if that's the word I'm looking for. By being in the same vicinity as like a person that big, a caliber.
So who all went into the compound while you were inside the compound that were a part of this group with YSL that you came to?
So I actually left everyone outside. They was charging roughly $500 to get in because of the time and that you had to have tickets. And everyone was acting like they didn't have, well, not acting like, they probably didn't have no money. But I had money and I wanted to enjoy myself, and that's what I did. I took it upon myself to, I drove my own car, so I took it upon myself to go in and see my idol.
You said, okay, your idol. Now, was your co-founder of YSL having any words across the media or any other way with your idol during the time that Lil Wayne had his show or appeared at the compound?
That, I don't know, I just feel like that caliber of person you won't even get the chance to have words with him like that. Especially not a young up-and-coming artist who technically ain't even made a name for himself yet.
Who was the young up-and-coming artist who had technically not made a name for himself yet?
Jeffrey Williams.
Okay. Was Jeffrey Williams with you all at the compound?
No.
What was Jeffrey Williams?
She sounds like she's pressing him on someone that she was being cheated on with. Was Jeffrey Williams at the club? Who's Jeffrey Williams? Like, this is not a good look for your own witness.
Why don't you rephrase the question? I'll sustain this.
Yes, you are. Are you aware of where Jeffrey Williams was the night that Lil Wayne appeared at the compound in 2015 when you all, as YSL, went to the compound?
From my understanding,
You all.
Your Honor, the witnesses testified.
I'm objecting at this point.
Hey, Mr. Harvey, we're not going to have any of that. I'll sustain your objection, okay? We're not going to be belligerent to one another. You can rephrase.
Yes, Your Honor. When YSL was at the compound, are you aware of where Jeffrey Williams was?
yes,
Where was Jeffrey Williams?
he was on tour.
Where was he appearing the night that YSL was at the compound where Lil Wayne was?
Foundation.
I'm going to overrule that.
You may
You can
answer.
answer the question, sir.
From my understanding, he was in New Orleans.
Sir, do you know where he was?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then
Yes.
you can't speculate.
Oh,
Okay,
yes,
so
sir.
if you know where he is, fine. If you don't know where he is, then tell the examiner that, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Yes.
What part of the world?
I don't know.
Are you aware of whether or not he was in Lil Wayne's hometown?
No.
Do you have any reason why YSL wasn't in New Orleans with Jeffrey Williams? At the time, Jeffrey Williams, co-founder of YSL, was performing.
Your Honor.
Basis.
That is not a person. I don't know.
Overrule, sir.
You may answer the question.
So again, this around the time where he was up and coming, and it really didn't make any sense for him to buy all those plane tickets when he probably was making only $5,000 show at the time. So it won't be no profit in paying for all our flight tickets. That's what I feel like. That's how I feel.
Okay, well, why didn't,
I move to strike his answer. It was all speculative based on his last statement.
yeah, I would object to that. Strike.
I'll overrule the objection.
Now, why didn't YSL just pay for their own flights if it was to support a founding member of the group?
That's an improper question. She keeps saying YSL.
I'll sustain it's a form, but yeah, that's already come out, Mr. Matthew, so I'm going to overrule your first objection, okay? So rephrase as to why, okay? So unless he knows, then that invites speculation.
Okay. You specifically, why didn't you just pay for your own ticket to go and support your co-founder while your co-founder was performing in New Orleans?
So at the time, I had a case pending, and I was on ankle monitor, house arrest. Yes.
Did you have a curfew at the time?
No, it was more of knowing my whereabouts at all times.
Were you able to let your probation officer know or parole officer know? Did you need to go somewhere other than where you were ordinarily allowed to go?
I wasn't on parole.
Mr. Steele? You can? Make sure this one's on here. Okay.
Don't remember if they actually go to questions or if they go to break here. Yeah, they do go to a break.
Probably just in broad strokes about what's going
And then I think they end up releasing Slug for the day. So this is going to be the wind down of day 13. We are going to head over and watch Tavis is about to premiere a video before he goes live. So I'm going to drop the link to this. I did set up a redirect and just made it go to the premiere, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So here's the link so you can migrate with us over there. Thank you again to Sia, who sent in 3 different super chats and said she did it on purpose. I thought it was a duplication because of it being similar, but that's really, really generous of you. Thank you so much again. And then Yadat here with the closing comedy for this stream. For a headlining act, we present to you Young Thug from the group Young Lil Wayne Life. Yes, love, that's a question that will help you win the case. To be honest, I feel like I can't go through a day of Love doing questioning of a witness and not wondering why she thinks whatever she's trying to get at will actually help the argument she's trying to make. But who knows? We'll just let Love do Love. So this is pretty much the end of day 13. Day 14 is going to be really short. It was like 2 hours, including breaks and startup time and all that. And then on day 15, we will get to see cross-examination of Trontavious Stephens, YSL Slug, or Tick, whatever you want to call him. And first one up at bat is the Honorable Brian Steele. So with that being said, we will be heading over to Tabiz TV. That is here. Thank you so much for hanging out on this rewatch of Trontavious Stephens' plea hearing and his first day of direct examination by none other than Adrian Love. So, see you over in Tabiz's chat if you're following us. It's going to be a premiere first, and then he's going to be going live in an hour from now. So thank you so much, and look at... okay. FFS, I will bring the bugles. I will bring the giant bag of bugles that will last me as long as this trial over to Tabiz's chat. And I don't know exactly how to do this, but I did add the song. So I think we're going to play a song and end the stream. We're going to try it out. You guys all have a good one. Thanks for joining.
A as in Alicia, and B, Your Honor, as in Barry. C as in Colette. G as in Goldfetter. K as in Kittens. M as in Magic. P as in Perfect. C as in Colette. U as in Unbelievable. V as in Victory. W as in Wonderful.
O for addiction, S for sustain, E for buffering, E for Pepto-Bane. S for sly, my friend, and you, as in what you mean. I as in I don't recall, M as in may I sleep. All the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. G for gavel slams down P, T for telling anything, R for rights we stand, I for infinity. Life's a courtroom dance. Keep your stances strong with ABCs of steel. You can never go wrong. Oh, the ABCs of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. Of steel makes me feel so real. Yeah, they keep on spinning round, never gonna let me down. Oh, the ABCs of steel